And
Let's do it.
go ahead, Bobby. You're the MC today.
I'm the MC, whatever that means. I just wanted to be a part of the event, so I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for showing up. We're gonna have a good time today. We're gonna hear some really cool stuff from some really cool people. So I'm stoked. I'm excited to learn something and be engaged. I think Boyd, we're gonna have some giveaways, right? We're gonna do some giveaways and some stuff. How's that gonna look?
So what I've got 3 trips to Las Vegas. You get to stay in a resort down there. It's a 3-night stay. So 4 days, 3 nights. And you have to find your own way there. I think we can figure out how to drive there from here. And then at the end of the conference, anybody who's put in the 4 hours will get, they'll be in a drawing. And actually, we'll probably do 3.5 hours because people get.
Wait, does that include guests, like hosts?
Oh, you want to win?
Bobby could win something.
Yeah. I mean, I think that should.
If you guys, and that will be a 5-night stay at a Mexican resort on the ocean.
Oh,
okay, and it'll be in one of the a good location. So I can't remember the 3 I have, but it seems like Cozumel is one of them. And
you can choose the location.
I have 3 different locations you can choose from. Yes. And anyway, down in Mexico. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing at the end. But we're going to get started. So go ahead, Bobby.
Awesome. All right. Well, should we just jump right into it? I mean, yes. I know we've got a whole day. Well, not a whole day, a whole half a day planned.
A whole half.
This has been amazing. I did the first one with Boyd. Boyd created this thing 7 years ago. It's been through all kinds of iterations and changes. We did a full day live event that first time. It was powerful. We had a bunch of authors. It was so cool. And that was 7 years ago. Man, so much have changed, huh, Boyd?
And it was at the Salt Lake Community College, Miller campus. And each of the 5 authors taught 4 classes was it 5 classes? Anyway, it was a bunch. And then we had some great speakers. Dano, who's going to be on a little later today, was the MC for that day.
Yeah.
And then we had, we had a lot of great people there, and people drove from all over because they had to come in person.
Yeah. And how many times have we done a live? It was live. Was it up till COVID when we went to, like everybody else, virtual is now?
I actually went virtual the year before COVID hit, and we did it then. I did it then. It was a 1-day conference then, and I had, I think, 8 or 9 speakers, for 1 day. And so, and that's what it generally was a 1-day thing until last year. And then last year we did
that crazy 3-day thing. Oh my gosh, that was brutal.
Part of it was that Jim and I and Clay Neves were doing conferences, a 3-day thing, a 3-hour thing. And we were scheduled to be presenting on Thursday at a college here in Salt Lake. And it was going to be the Business Success Conference. And the college called us on Tuesday and said, we're being shut down. So Jim and I jumped on it, and we started putting together the Business Success Conference. And it started growing and growing. And people said, I'll talk at it too. I'll talk at it too. And it was all about getting people so that they could work at home. That's what we did. And so
I'm a Gemini too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good gosh. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's get started, folks.
I can't wait to hear Proctor because I want to be happy. Tell me how to get happier.
Are you known as the happiness lady now? Everywhere you go?
Everywhere I go, it's the happiness, it's the orange. If I have people will be like, I saw this orange thing and thought of you. And I'm like, branding, I love it.
For those that don't know, Taylor has the Happiness Abounds podcast. So if you ever get a chance, go check out the podcast. You've got quite a few episodes, don't you? I mean, you've been doing this a while, haven't you?
Yes, sir. We're at over 500 episodes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. 500. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Well, let me introduce Taylor, and then we'll give the stage to Taylor. Taylor Proctor, through years of working as a chief marketing officer and her experience as a successful coach, Taylor discovered that it takes two things to create a successful and impactful business: branding and content. She's going to show you how, and she shows hundreds of people how to confidently create content that converts with her signature program, the Content Cure. And we're going to turn the time over to Taylor. And what she's going to teach is riches in the niches, why simplifying your audience is crucial to successfully marketing your business. Take it away, Taylor. Taylor, not Tyler. Who's Tyler? I don't know who Tyler is.
Let me know that you can see my screen. I think that's the obligatory, like, hey, am I on, right? So you guys can see it. Everything good?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Good.
Awesome. Okay. So excited today to talk about riches in the niches. And if you are one of those people who's like, no, it's niche, it actually can be pronounced either way. And I'll probably interchange it throughout this course. So bear with me. But really, riches in the niches is all about how you can simplify your audience and how that is crucial to successfully marketing your business. So today, as I speak to you, we're going to talk about the power of niching, or what it means to niche the right way. And I'll even offer you a how-to guide to niching your audience. So let's start here with this idea. Now, whether you're male or female, I want you to take a moment and imagine that maybe you're looking for a piece of clothing. And in this case, it's a dress. I want you to imagine you're a 35-year-old woman looking for a blue dress specifically. You want something fun, fashionable, and bold. The dress is to wear to a wedding, but you want to be able to wear it to your high-power corporate job, around the town, and even on date nights. And here's the catch. You need this dress by this weekend, and you don't have a lot of time to look around, right? We are doing this on 8:30 on a Friday, so that dress needs to be available by like end of day, right? So there's a couple of options here, as I have as pictures, but just keep in mind that we're looking for something fun, fashionable, bold, etc. So knowing that you don't have a lot of time, where would you shop? Shop A is marketing themselves as, we have pretty dresses in bright colors and unique designs. Shop B markets themselves as offering bohemian dresses for professional women, stylish prints with eye-catching colors, specifically of gold, purple, and blue, and made from sustainable material with one-of-a-kind handmade designs. So take a minute here. Which one would you go to? The one-stop shop is obviously B, right? You can find exactly what you need. And this is the power of niching. You have an audience. You're deep diving into what it is that they need, what it is they care about. You're empathizing with them. And then you're positioning your marketing and your business to offer the solution. It's so much easier for this woman, 35, business professional, needs it by the weekend, has very specific needs, to know that shop B is where she's going to go. She's not going to waste time on shop A because she doesn't know what she's going to get there. So that is the power of niching. Now, who am I to even talk about niching? I am, as Bobby so wonderfully introduced me, I am Taylor Proctor. I've been in marketing for over 12 years. I've worked with brands like Google, Waze, Stanford University, Johnson & Johnson, and several others. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and CMO for a company called Pivot. It's an up-and-coming social media company. And I'm also the Vice President of Marketing for a company called Madrivo. As Bobby said, I have over 500 podcast episodes under my belt, 200 plus YouTube videos, over 1,000 blogs written, a guest expert on over 50 international and national YouTube channels, podcasts, and stages. And I had my podcast ranked as the #1 international podcast for happiness 2 years in a row. And I have 2 signature programs, my Build Your Brand workshops and the Content Cure, which is a 6-week program. And I promise you that no matter what level you're at, how many followers you have, or how long you've been in business, you're going to get something out of this presentation if you haven't already out of that first exercise. Because in my years of marketing, one of the #1 things that I have seen, which is the most helpful, is the ability to niche. but you really don't have to take just my word for it. Seth Godin says, no niche is too small if it's yours. And the size of and the idea of niching is something that a lot of business owners really struggle with at first, because it's like, well, if I niche down too small, then I won't have any audience. There's no audience for me. And it's like, no, that's actually not true. It's better to have an audience of 100 people and have 99 of them engaged and purchasing from you and being brand advocates and loving what you sell, your services, than having 1,000 followers and having only 9 that are engaged, right? So no niche is too small if it's yours. And then Jeet Banerjee says, I believe that such a high number of startups fail because they do not take the right steps necessary when building their business. The biggest challenge people have is building something that their target audience or niche really wants. So important to know and come into your niche. So one of the best ways to do that is to simplify. Now we're going to shift away from the dress example and move to if you're maybe offering like financial services. As you look at it, you may think let's start broad and hone it. So you may think, okay, well, my audience is people who need financial advice. That's fair, but that can be a huge range of people. We want to narrow down and hone in. So then you might think, well, I want to help people that need financial advice, or I can help people that need financial advice, and it's a high likelihood that they're married. Awesome. Now, maybe they have kids, but here's where things start to get interesting. Are we speaking to people who need financial advice that have children, but maybe they're empty nesters? Or do they have kids ages 7, 11, and 13? Is the husband worried about working forever and how to thrive in retirement? Or is the wife stressed about how to pay for all 3 kids' colleges? One of these is 10 years away from retirement with $100,000 in savings. And the other is 5 years away from their first kid being in college with $1,000 in savings. Now, when we look at this, we go, I just help people who need financial advice and they happen to be married. We're missing the opportunity to really come in and offer solutions to these individuals. When we know that it's the husband that's worried about having to work for forever and is 10 years from retirement, the way we speak to that potential client is entirely different than the way we would speak to the wife who's stressed about how to pay for the kids' college with only $1,000. The financial advice, the stresses, the way that these audience members and potential clients think is completely different. So when we say, oh yeah, I just help people who need financial advice, we're missing out on the power of niching down and being able to actually help our audience. And as the person who is the content cure coach, it's so important to be able to speak your audience's language. So important to be able to say, I know that you're worried about having to work forever and how to thrive in retirement. Or I know the stress of what it feels like to be like, how am I going to help my kids pay for college? Because that's a priority for me. And by niching down and speaking to your audience in these ways and knowing their pain points, knowing their passions, knowing their aspirations, knowing where they're actually at, can help you in your marketing to have that business success. So there's a couple of things that we can do additionally, and I pulled a little bit of these in our last example that you can help to hone in on that ideal audience and that ideal potential client to support your marketing efforts. And that's demographics and psychographics. So demographics are your traditional things. So things like the gender, age, annual income, relationship status, occupation, home ownership, education level, where they're at geographically, the language they speak, whether they have pets, children, both. And then in the coaching world, we see a lot of spiritual coaches and spiritual service offerings where knowing that your audience's language around their higher power. Is it God? Is it the universe? Is it higher power? Is it the mountain down the street? Like, you never know, right? So it's coming in and speaking the language of your audience so that they can know, like, and trust you, and then be able to purchase from you and your business. Now, you don't have to use all of these as you're building out and niching your audience, but it's just good to kind of keep these things in mind. And going back to our last slide, if you have $1,000 in savings, or your audience has $1,000 in savings, or $100,000 in savings, again, the way that you would tell them and advise them to invest financially may be entirely different. So even things like annual income, occupation, whether they own a home or not, depending if you're offering like real estate, your construction, contracting, whatever it may be, those are all little details that we tend to miss out when we say, oh, I just help people, or I offer this service. But as you can niche in, you can understand where they're really at, speak their language, and help them. Now, psychographics are a little bit less black and white, right? So you have things like their hobbies. What are they interested in? What phone apps are they spending their time on? And that helps for marketing down the line, because you're like, yep, I know my ideal audience spends time on LinkedIn. I don't need to have a huge presence on Instagram if my audience is on LinkedIn, or if they're reading articles on Medium, or if they're spending time on Forbes, right? So knowing their hobbies, the phone apps, and their media consumption. Are they watching YouTube videos, or are they reading long articles? And there may be a mix of all of these, but generally knowing where somebody is at in their spare time and how they like to view things can really help your marketing stand apart, because you're speaking to that audience member, which if there's one, there's hundreds of thousands. Social class, learning style. Learning style is one of my favorite things to dive into, because from a psychographic level, it's so fascinating when you can say, okay, my ideal client typically learns in an auditory way, or a visual way, or tactile. That completely can frame up how you present your business to them. This is a really fun side fact, but I also have a paid book club that I host. We're 2 years strong, over 20 members. It's awesome. But when I started my business, I knew that the majority of my audience, the ideal client I wanted to work with as I was niching down, was an audio learner. So I created the podcast, Happiness Abound, because I knew that I would be able to capture my audience through creating audio content. Well, that was really put to the test when I started my book club. And it's so funny because I kept my audience, my niche, the same. I was like, okay, I'm going after the same people. This is who I want to help. This is who I can help. This is who's going to be the best person to be in this book club. And they're audio learners. And it's so funny because 60 to 65% of our members in the book club are actually audio learners. And they listen to the books on tape or on Audible. So it's really cool to be like, yeah, this all works. And now here the audience is coming in that I ideally want to work with, that I can offer the best and most service to, and my marketing supported that. Another couple other ones there, personality characteristics, lifestyles, and then I even have vacations in there. If any of you watching host retreats, and you're thinking about retreats, if you know that your audience prefers mountains or desert or beach, that can completely transform where you would hold your retreat. Because if your ideal audience is a beach person, that's worlds better than being a mountain person, because then you know that you're going to host your retreat at the beach. Now, if they're mountain people, same thing. So it's even the little details like that where you can identify where they're at, what they like, who they are, that can help support your business long-term and your marketing. But then there's a few other things that really matter. You need to know their goals. What is it that they really want out of life? What is the problem that they are having? What result do they want? And then this is one of the most important pieces. What words do they use to describe their problem? Feelings they feel the most often. Frustrations about the problem they're having. What are their fears? What are their doubts? And what behaviors do they use that stops them from taking action? If you can know those things, you can speak to the heart of your potential client. And you can serve them in ways, even through your marketing. So then when you can serve them through your business, through your products, through your services, that you truly help them and they thrive, they refer you, you thrive, and on it goes. One other thing that's important to note is maybe what they're motivated by. So here's a quick list of things that people tend to be motivated by, and it can be more than just one of these, but they can be motivated to make money, save time, avoid effort, escape pain, whether that's mentally or physically, gain more comfort, greater cleanliness, beauty, or hygiene, gain praise, feel more loved, or have increased popularity or social status. So what does this all actually look like? Now, don't panic. I know this is a lot of information on a slide, but this is an example of a one-page persona that I have used to niche down and has really escalated my entire business. So this is my persona, Dallas Clark. Her problem is that she needs and knows that she needs to create content to support her business, but she doesn't know what content to create. And the content she is creating isn't engaging, isn't building to conversions. So what does she really want? She wants engagement on her content that converts to customers so she can help her audience. And then here's the real piece. We often see in marketing when someone will say something like, are you frustrated, overwhelmed, or feeling stuck? And your audience goes, yeah, I am. Then it doesn't connect to that next level. So when you go about, what are your feelings about that? What is your audience's feelings about that? They're frustrated with themselves for just not doing the things they say they're going to do. They're overwhelmed by not knowing what to post, when, or where. They feel stuck and in shame in knowing they need to create content and they just aren't doing it. When you can speak to your audience in the way that you understand their fears, their doubts, you understand their feelings and their feelings about specific things, now you're speaking their language and your marketing will have so much more power to it. Because through niching down, the riches are in the niches. I know that when even with all of my years of experience in marketing, when I got to my own business, I was like, yeah, I want to help everybody. Or yeah, I just want to help this group of people, but it was still so broad, like our example for people who need financial advice, right? It was still so broad, so I wasn't connecting with anyone. It's almost down to the literal second that I created my persona and was able to niche down for my audience. My business took off. And the riches really are in the niches when you can speak to your audience. So what I'd love to do is be able to offer you a template to help you understand and answer your audience's demographic, psychographic, and what's important questions. And then I'll also give you a template that includes that one-page format so you can include all that info and make it shareable to your teams, right? Whether it's you and you're looking at, in my case, Dallas's one sheet and you go, okay, yep, this is what she cares about. This is what she needs. This is what I need to create. This is how I need to speak to her. Or you have a team, an agency, you're outsourced your marketing, whatever it may be. Now you have a sheet that you can give them and say, this is who we want to work with. And the riches are in the niches. So if you want to text my number 435-201-1137, then and with your name and your email, I can get you that template today for free. Additionally, you can have the most niche audience, but without content that speaks their language in their marketing, they are a harder sell. So text yes to that same number to receive a free niching and content consultation for your business with me. It's a 1-hour call and we'll dive in and figure out what's going on, how we can hone in a little bit further and really help you and your business thrive and succeed at whole new levels. So that said, thank you so much for having me on today. It's been a wonderful opportunity. I'm so honored and delighted to be here and be able to speak to you. If you want to reach out to me, again, my name is Taylor Proctor. Text my number 435-201-1137. If you would like that free template, just text your name and your email. And yes, if you want that free consultation.
Awesome. Wow.
Yep.
So good. I just say, as an entrepreneur and around so many people, it just blows me away how many people say everybody needs this, and they refuse to try and niche down. It's like, well, but this person could use it too. This person could use it. And it's like, I'm not telling you not to sell to those people.
Right.
The thing is, you need to get above the noise. And the only way to do that is to connect with somebody.
Well, and I like to say it's shooting for the moon. You're going to collect some stars. But until you say, I'm going to the moon,
Yep.
You're not going anywhere. And so if you can say, I'm going to the moon, right? I'm shooting for the moon, you're going to collect stars. You're going to collect audience members, followers, potential clients that may not fit that exact piece, but you've been speaking to them as you've been focusing on who you're speaking to.
So
and it
true.
makes a world of difference.
I love it. That such a powerful gift. Thank you so much. That hopefully people are listening. Don't just try and get everybody. We're not Walmart.
True.
Well, it's funny enough, even Walmart niches down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go walk through there.
So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. And if there aren't, again, my information's there. And if anybody watching has questions or wants that free consultation, I'm here for you.
Any questions from our attendees? Or from Bobby and Jim?
I just
I need to talk to Taylor because I need to be more happy.
check out the show.
Yeah.
She's on every podcast platform out there, right? Taylor?
I am. Yeah. I think I'm on most of the majors. I think it's across about 11. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you haven't listened to it, it's in the nitty gritty of happiness. So, I mean, it's not just this fluffy ha ha ha. You like get really serious about happiness in the show.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So very cool. I don't see any questions.
Taylor, you're awesome. I just want to
So
say.
good.
And thank you again so much for having me on. It's always such an honor and delight to chat with you guys. And I think we've known each other through roundabout things for the last couple of years. So it's awesome to kind of all get together and to chat. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for getting up
All right.
early on a Friday. So
Yeah, yeah. At least we got it early, right? So now you can take off for the day.
Well, I want to win that prize.
Oh.
Good, good.
Right.
Okay. Well, I didn't say you had
Yeah.
to leave the conference, but I got a question for you. How is Pivot doing? It's picking up, I see, and getting lots more people on it. So tell us.
Yeah. So it's a new social media app.
Mhm.
And there's so many cool things about it, so many things that are different than your traditional social media. But in terms of how we're growing, we have been live as an app on both Android and Apple for about a month. We have over 10,000 users already, which marketing brain here, like we're all business owners. That's actually like quadruple the speed that some of the most recent social media platforms that have come out, like Clubhouse and a few others of those. They took a long time to get to that number, and we are just skyrocketing to it, which is awesome. But one of our best features is the fact that we have the ability to create custom feeds. So it's really cool to be, instead of having one feed and like, okay, what is this? I got to go through and scroll. And I'm like, well, I want to see Bobby, but I want to see Boyd and I want to see James, but like, how can I actually see this without all the other stuff in between? So you can actually create feeds like you would changing a channel. So if I'm really in business mode and I want to see all my business stuff and I'm following you guys, then I have a channel for that. And then if I'm like, you know what, I just want to watch cat videos, I can create a channel for that and watch that. So
Yep.
really cool, really customized, really personalized to the user. It's a PYVOTT. If anybody's online and watching and wants to go and download it and check it out.
And it is very cool. So I'm one of those 10,000.
Yeah, I love it.
I was actually in the beta testing of it, and it was pretty cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, and it's definitely grown, and we have a lot more features and a lot more things coming down the pipe as well. So thanks for being on beta, but hopefully I think you can already see it's
Yeah.
night and day difference, getting better and better by the day.
It is. It's very good. So cool things. All right. Well, Taylor, thank
Awesome.
you very much. I'm going to let you be an attendee again. And so we appreciate you being on. That was very good information.
Awesome.
So,
Don't be
Thank-
afraid to connect to be a part of it.
okay, and we're going to be bringing up Dano now because, well, he's coming up next. So, in fact, here he comes right now.
Boom, we're right on time, right on schedule.
Yep. And there's Dano's picture. Good. Okay, we know he's there. And here
Close.
he comes. There he is. Hey, Dano.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Great to have
Awesome.
you, Dano.
Boy, Taylor, oh my goodness. I took so many notes.
Yeah.
That was truly amazing.
So good. We're gonna jump right
There we
into
go.
this. Yeah, we're gonna jump right. Yeah, we're right on schedule. Let's is it okay if I introduce Dano?
Go.
Yeah,
Dano,
go.
Dano Ybarra. We go way back, ELP days. Dano is the real deal. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. I'm just going to give a real quick bio. Dan has been vice president of international at Jive Communication. He's been a co-founder of Flowpoint, general manager of the worldwide business division of Siemens. He is an international speaker and a best-selling author of the book, Guiding Your Raft, Listen to this man. He is going to teach us today, and we're going to learn some things. So Dano, let's take it away and let Dano have the stage.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bobby. And it is good to see you again. It's been a little while since I've seen you.
Yes.
Well, let's do the, as Taylor said, make sure that we can all see my screen.
Yeah, we see you.
We see it.
Yeah.
Yep. And now it's even in the full screens. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Okay, so it's a delight to be here today. And what I wanted to focus on today is just a few small things that can make a big difference. And so I'm presenting 3 sales tips, 3 sales secrets in less than 30 minutes to help accelerate your ability to close business. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what we want to do, is close business. But sometimes we go at it the wrong way. And so I'm hoping these tips will help you make some minor, like I say, some just minor adjustments to what you're already doing well, and it will change the outcomes radically. So here we go. The best presentation you'll ever give, the prospect will never see. Where in the world is that coming from? I know we all spend hours and hours and hours practicing our presentations, tuning our slides, tuning our pitch, doing all of that work, but the best one you'll ever create, you'll never actually present. And let's talk about why that's the case. Let's start with my first tip. It actually comes from a great book that I love called Sandler Rules. And Sandler was an amazing salesperson, and he ended up building a career around teaching other people how to sell. And now it's probably one of the top 3 sales programs in the world. And I'm honored to be part of that. And so I'm going to pull content from his amazing insights. And then I'll add my little twist to all of them. But Sandler rule number 1, people buy for their reasons, not the salesperson's reasons. And this one you need to think about, because I know when I go in to sell, I've thought about who the client or prospect is. I've thought about their needs. I've thought about how my solution can solve problems that they have. And I want to go in and explain to them why they need to buy for my reasons. However, the reality is they buy for their reasons, which means that before we give a pitch, before we talk about what we have to offer, we need to understand what their pain is. What is the compelling reason that's going to cause them to change what they're doing today, to change how they're doing it today? And this is our job. Our job is to discover. We're like detectives. We need to understand everything about them before we even consider talking about our solution. So along with that comes sales secret number 1. Pain is a compelling emotional reason to do something different. Well, let's unpack that a little bit. It's an emotional and compelling reason to change the way we do things. I mean, think about it. If I have a problem and I need a solution, then I'm going to talk to you because somewhere along the line, your solution kind of lined up with my problem. And so I want to talk to you. I want to learn about it. But if my pain is not deep enough, if it's not causing me business challenges and even personal challenges, that emotional reason to do something different may not be there. It may not be strong enough. So it has to be strong enough, because we're talking about doing something different. We're talking about changing the way we work when we adopt a new product or technology. We're talking about even abandoning friendships and long-term relationships with existing solutions that we've been using. That's hard. Change is hard. And us as the salesperson are coming in with a solution that may completely solve all their problems. But if the pain and that emotional tie to that pain is not compelling enough, they're not going to change. So pain, we're looking for those pain points. And I know pain is a tough word to use. What Taylor said earlier, she said, discover what really matters to them. And that's what we're doing. But I'm using a more in-your-face word, pain. We have to find that pain. So that's sales secret number 2. Pain is a compelling emotional reason to do something different. So let's look at what Einstein had to say. He said, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and only 5 minutes finding the solution. I love this because this really defines our sales process. Our sales process, if we have a 1-hour meeting with a prospect, and let's say it's an early on meeting, we haven't spent much time with them, I would spend 30, 40, even 45 minutes discovering, trying to understand the true pain. If they present a problem, we want to understand how long they've had that problem. We want to understand what they've tried to do so far to fix the problem. We want to understand what that problem is costing them in dollars, in time, and personally. There's been so many times I've been sitting in a meeting doing discovery to find out that this person's job is on the line if they don't fix the problem. Now, if that's not an emotional, compelling reason to change, I don't know what is. So think about Einstein, think about his 55 minutes to define the problem and 5 minutes to find a solution when we approach our sales opportunities. Okay, sales tip number 2, no pain, no sale. If we're unable to discover pain that's compelling enough and emotional enough to cause them to make a change, we should just do a friendly thank you so much for your time and move on. Because without that pain, and if maybe it's there, but we're just unable to discover it, or they're unable to admit that they have it, they're not going to make the change. And so let's move on. Let's not waste our time or their time. And let's be very polite. And of course, leave our card in case things change. But mentally, it's time to move on. No pain, no sell. So, sales secret number 2. People buy emotionally. They only justify their decisions intellectually. So we need to think about this. When someone is looking for a solution to a problem, more times than not, they're going to make that decision emotionally. And what do I mean by emotionally? Well, if it's not addressing a pain they have, and that pain is not compelling enough for them to make a change, they're not going to consider it. At the same time, and typically I speak to businesses about business to business, B2B, but I think a better example to really bring this home is a B2C example. I was watching Steve Jobs carefully as he re-entered Apple, as he came out with the new line of iMacs, the 5 colors. They're beautiful. I bought one of each. I really did. I was watching the other products he was bringing to market. And then this thing called the iPad shows up. And I said, I have to have one of those. It just spoke to me emotionally. I wanted one. Why? I didn't even know why I wanted it. However, once I made that emotional commitment that I wanted one, I immediately started coming up with the reasons why, to intellectually justify it. So at home, talking to my wife, I was talking about, hey, my backpack's so heavy, I travel the globe. Wouldn't it be nice to just have a simple tablet to carry around instead of a full computer? And it would make my life easier. In the office, I was justifying it. Hey, look, we're trying to show videos all the time, and it's awkward to, in these one-on-one or one-on-two meetings to bring out your laptop, and I could just bring up this tablet, show the video, go through a simple slide deck, and it's non-intrusive. I'm making up all these intellectual reasons why I'm going to buy the iPad. But the truth is, I bought emotionally. And of course, I did get one, and I did put it to work, and I'm happy I did. But the decision was not made first intellectually. The decision was made emotionally. And so we have to think about that. When people buy, if there's not that pain that causes the emotion, because pain is the strongest emotion we have. And if it's not there, then they're not going to buy. They'll justify intellectually and they'll figure it out. We don't even have to help them with that. Although, of course, giving them hints always helps. Tip number 3. Oh, this one I love. Don't paint seagulls in your prospect's picture. What in the world? Well, I'm going to tell you a story about this. There was a girl, her name was Nancy, and she was in a public school, a young girl, and she is in art class learning to paint. So she paints a house and she paints the sun and did a really nice job. Her art instructor comes up and said, "Oh, wow, you really have some talent and gift here, but your picture is off balance. It's not balanced." And the art instructor then drew a seagull up in the right side of her picture to balance it. And the little girl just sat back and was quiet. She kind of wrinkled the paper up, put it in her pocket, and went home that night. And her father could tell that something was wrong. And he said, "What's going on?" And she pulls her picture out and sets it on the table. And he goes, "Wow, what a great picture. And I especially love the seagull." And she just broke down and cried and ran off to her room. So the father figured out, I said something wrong. So he then went into the room, and after some discussion, learned that the teacher had put the seagull in the picture and she didn't want it there. And so he went back and he talked to the teacher, and she goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I have credentials. I come from the best schools. I know what's right. And what I did was the right thing." And so then he went to the principal, and the principal was similar. "Hey, we hire the best teachers, da, da, da." So now he ends up at his lawyer, and now we end up in court. And so after all the testimonies and all the evidence is put forth, the judge asks the little girl, Nancy, what was wrong with the seagull? She said, "I just didn't see it in my picture." When we approach our clients or our prospects, we don't want to be painting seagulls in their picture. They have a vision. They know what they want. They have scoped it all. And sometimes it's not very well defined, but even so, we can't be the ones that define it for them. They're the ones that have to understand what they want, what they need. And if we paint a seagull in there, we're going to lose them. When they're asking for A, B, C, and D, and we say, "Hey, we have W," we could kill the sale right there. And so what we need to do is, again, search for the pain, understand their needs, spend a lot of time in discovery, and don't paint seagulls in their picture. Now, sometimes there may be something we have that they haven't even recognized or thought about, And we really do need to introduce it to them. But the challenge is we need to make it their idea. And so how do you do that? How do you go about that? Well, there's a couple things you can do. A couple of phrases I like to use. For example, let's say we've been talking, I understand what they want. They've defined their needs. I understand what their pain is. It is compelling. So they are going to, they will make a change if they can find the right solution. And I know that we have something that they haven't even thought of. But rather than just spill it out there and say, hey, we have this too, that's painting a seagull in their picture. Instead, I say something like, I don't suppose a feature like this would allow you to satisfy your requirements more effectively, would it? And then if they come back and say, maybe it would, I immediately say, why is that? And then I let them justify why this would help them, because now they're painting the seagull in their picture. Another phrase I use, I don't suppose this feature would be of any value. And again, I'm not telling them that it is. And if they come back and say, I'd like to learn more about that, or maybe that would make a difference. Again, why is that? And let them paint the seagull. Another phrase, you didn't mention this. Is this important? And of course, this is the seagull, right? You didn't mention this. Is this important? And they may come back and say, no. They say, no worries, and you move on, right? If they say, I'd like to think about that, or maybe that would, or yes, why is that? And again, let them paint the seagull in their picture. So that's sales tip number 3. Sales secret number 4, the problem the buyer brings you is never the real problem. Why is that? Why do you think a buyer would bring you a problem or describe a problem that's not the real problem? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One is pride. One is they'd be embarrassed to let you know how bad things really are. I'm running a startup right now, and we're doing great, but I know I need some additional developers, an outside development team to help accelerate our progress. And so I've been interviewing a lot of development teams. But would I tell them the real problems that I know that are going on inside my product? Or do I just say, we'd like to accelerate development? Well, of course, I'm going to simply say we'd like to accelerate development. And I give them, the information they need. None of them have been asking me the right questions, so they don't understand what my real pain is. And I'm not going to share it with you either, because that's something that's very close and private, right? I know we'll get through it. I'm not worried, but this is a typical situation where even me as a buyer, I'm not going to talk about the real problem. I'm going to talk about things that are indicators of the problem, or things that are more comfortable for me to talk about as the issue. And then it comes back to what we talked about right up front. We need to discover what is the real problem? What is the real pain here? And we do that through asking great questions. Questions about, how long have you had this problem? What have you tried to do to fix the problem? How much is the problem costing you? Time, money, personally. And what happens if you do nothing? And these are all really good questions to help discover the pain. And then once we've discovered the pain, now we understand if there's a match. Does our solution really solve the real problem they're trying to solve? And if it does, and we have more things that could even help in other ways, we're not going to paint those seagulls in their picture. Instead, we're going to ask them questions to learn if they would be of benefit, and then let them paint the picture. Or paint the seagull in their picture. So recognizing why the buyer brings you this problem is really important. Getting below the symptoms, getting below what they're comfortable talking about. And you do that by building rapport. I'll finish with a story. I was selling routers. We had a startup and we did the first DSL routers in the world. And we were growing really fast. We had a great product. I had an amazing development team that did a great job. And so I'm traveling the world, getting these routers placed in all the big carriers, telephone operators around the world. And I was in Denmark. We spent days and days and days. I had to modify the code to make it work. I was building rapport with this individual named Moens. Moens ultimately did purchase the product, used it in their deployment, and it was a great success. And so at the end of the day, he was promoted, of course, grateful to me because I brought a solution, was willing to work with him. And then about a year later, we came out with Wi-Fi. And I know this dates me, but Wi-Fi was not a thing. And so we came out with the same router, but it also had Wi-Fi in it. So I set up an appointment, flew to Denmark, spent an afternoon with Moens talking about Wi-Fi. At the end of the conversation, he said, you know, I've actually brought up the idea of Wi-Fi with my boss. And he said, we'll never do Wi-Fi. And I said, okay, would have been nice to know that before I jumped on an airplane and flew over here, but that's okay. That's okay. And then we went to dinner and had a nice dinner, and then I flew home. Well, it was interesting. I had landed in New York for my connection, and I had a message on my phone, and it was from Moens. And he said, Dano, my CEO just busted in my office literally 5 minutes ago and said, we have to get a Wi-Fi router to market, and we have to get it to market now. So he wants us to launch in 2 weeks. Can we do this? And so, of course, we couldn't do it in 2 weeks, but a month later, he launched his Wi-Fi router with my solution. Now, why do I tell you all this? Well, if you think about what I was talking about, had I done a better job of discovering pain up front, one, I wouldn't have prepared this massive presentation that addressed a whole bunch of things that weren't of interest to him, because there was no compelling emotional reason for him to change what they were doing, and in particular, his boss. However, making him aware that we had a solution was important, because when the time came and it did become an emotional, painful situation that had to be resolved, he came to me. Came to me because we had a good rapport, we had the confidence. So what I want to leave with you is even implementing a little bit of what I've said can make a huge difference. And I encourage you to think about these tips and these secrets as you approach your prospects. And I think you'll find it makes a big difference. Instead of you pushing, what you're doing is you're inviting them into a conversation where they can be honest, you can be honest. And one, if there is no pain, you're not wasting your time. You can move on. If there is pain, you get to discover what the real pain is, not paint seagulls in their picture, and find a solution that will work for them.
That is great, Dano.
Awesome.
Great information. I love your 3 tips and your 3 secrets. They went really well together. And so thank you.
I thought they totally fit really well with the first presentation too.
Yes.
So that was like perfect.
Oh, as I listened to Taylor, I was just going, oh, wow, this is amazing. And this is so complimentary. When I think about sales and I think about marketing, I can't think about them separate. I always have to think about them together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of that. It was so important and powerful. I tell people all the time, you know, I've dealt with salespeople and they sit there and they go, man, our thing does 400 different things. It does this, it does this, it does all of this. And I'm like, man, I needed to do 3. I needed to do these 3 and I needed to do the 3 well. I could care less that it does 400 other things. And it dumbfounds me how hardcore features aren't always what it's cracked up to be. You find the pain point.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
precisely. Thank you.
I've been so busy taking notes that I can't
Me
even
too.
talk.
I just had some aha moments. I'm like, oh my crap, I'm totally doing that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bobby. Bobby, it's funny.
Rocks.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because what I tell salespeople, I say, don't show up and throw up. Meaning, don't show up and then just spill all your features and benefits all over the table before you even understand what the problem is. That's like walking into your doctor and your doctor going, I think we're going to rearrange your ears, change your heart, maybe do a lung transplant, and we got to do some work on your liver. He hasn't even talked to you yet. He doesn't even know what's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I think that this is really working perfectly, because I bet our next speaker, who I know is coming up, is going to fit this bill even to the next level. So this is great. This is super good.
Yep, it is.
Thanks, Dano, so much. That was
Dano.
way,
Thank
as
you.
usual, super powerful. I'm always engaged every time you're speaking.
Thanks.
Oh my
And it was
God.
a real honor to be here. Thanks for inviting
Well,
me.
thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dano. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm moving you back, and then I'm going to get Clay Neves, who's coming up next.
Oh
He's
my
going to be
God.
here.
Not
Yes.
Clay Neves.
Yes, Clay Neves. And,
Clay.
and here's the key. We talked about riches in the niches, and then we went to the 3 tips and 3 sales secrets, and now we're going to, like you said, Bobby, we are going to be talking about making the leap of faith. So you're going to take it from sales to sales management. And so I've got Clay here now. And so Clay, hello there.
Hello.
Oh, we don't see your picture yet, but we hear you.
We're getting close.
You see my picture?
Well, we see
No.
your picture, but not you.
Oh,
Not your video.
well, how can I possibly look better than my picture?
Well, you have a point. You have a point. It has been touched up, right? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Photoshop is wonderful.
Welcome. Thanks to Adelpha.
Hey, we
Oh,
see
yes.
your slide deck with
Videos.
the things in the side.
Yep.
Getting there.
Hold on just one second here.
Okay.
Clay,
Okay.
how are you feeling? I've asked this question a couple of times, but
I'm feeling great.
Good.
I am feeling great. So let me get my video. Let's not mute my audio. Let's not do that. Let's do
Start video.
start video. There we go. Bingo.
There you are. Okay.
Just
Okay.
kind of, I came in a flash.
your
didn't I?
PowerPoint, we still see the
Yeah, it's
upcoming slides. So you need to go to that button. right
slideshow and start from beginning.
Okay,
Right there.
so let's,
Boom.
so what are you
There.
seeing?
So go to slide. There you
There
go.
you go.
You got it.
You got it.
Oh, it's got the music thing. Hold on, let me find that. There we, okay.
He's on it. Hey,
Are we
we're
ready? When are we ready to go?
We're ready to go
Ready.
now. You want me
Well,
to? I've
go
got
ahead.
a little intro for Clay. Again, we all go way back. Clay was one of the first speakers too, wasn't he? Back in the
Yes,
day.
he was.
Yes. So Clay Neves, again, one of the greats of sales and understanding sales. What an honor it is always to hear Clay and what Clay has to say. Really quickly, Clay Neves is the vice president and CRO at Universal Accounting Center. He has 34 years of sales management experience across a variety of businesses and clients and client sales campaigns. He is the former Chamber of Commerce president and expert in relationship sales. Clay has focused on empowering small business owners who do not come from sales backgrounds to be as powerful in attracting, converting, and retaining clients as they are in serving them. So we're going to turn the time over to Clay Neves. Clay, take it away.
Thank you, Bobby Glenn James. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I probably wouldn't have been that egotistical. So thank you. You know, we've talked about selling, and as a business owner, when you first get started, it's like you're it. And I don't know how many people out there are business owners or how many people are coming into this track because you're in sales. But we're going to talk today mostly to business owners who are now selling, want their business to grow. So of course they're looking to bring on clients. But I got to tell you, we're going to find out today that you can't limit your sales if you want your business to grow to your own capacity to sell. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to talk about today. How do I take sales beyond myself to build a high performance sales team over time? Okay, so we're kind of looking in the future. You know, when we started our business, we all had that smiley face and the dreams we had, right? Bigger house, bigger truck, vacations, a lot more spare time. And, you know, we could say that I'm a CEO, even if it was of a one-person company. It reminds me of that old Seals and Crofts tune, The King of Nothing. I'm old enough to remember it. Boyd might be too. James, you're too young. Bobby, you weren't even born, I think, when that song was started. But, you know, we have the prestige of owning a business, and as it grows, we'll get more prestige. We're really excited about what this business could turn our life into. Then we get in and we get going, and sometimes even years later, here is the reality. Okay. Ugh. We are so overworked. We are so underpaid. This is not what we wanted it to be. We hoped we would be so much further along than we are. And this is it. So if you want to know the formula to make sure that you are always overworked and underpaid, I'm going to give it to you right now. So get your pencil out, because if it's the fact that you're overworked and underpaid that you enjoy about your business, then this is the formula to assure that you will always be overworked and underpaid. And here it is. I equal my business. Okay? So we have to look at our business as something other than ourselves. I've coached mothers who are also business owners. And I'll ask them, do you have a child? And they'll say, yes. How old is your child? My child is 10 years old. Are you still, what would you like your child to grow up to be? And it's an answer somewhere along the lines of, I would like them to grow up to be a law-abiding, successful, contributing member of society. Great, great. Now, are you still nursing them? And of course, they'll say, no, at 10-year-old, that's just creepy, you know? And I'll say, great, great. Now, how long have you been in business? 6, 7 years, you know? And let me ask you a question. Are you still nursing your business? Heck, have you even let it out of your womb yet? Or are you still under the assumption that your business is part of you? Because if you do, your business will never grow beyond the size of your womb. You've got to get it out. You've got to get it in the world. You've got to get it weaned from you so that your business becomes a growing, independent of you member of society that's contributing to society. That's what we want for our businesses. Maybe, I mean, if you just want to be self-employed, it's okay. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a business. So we're going to talk today about the key to getting your business beyond yourself. So let's talk a little bit about the 3 areas of business that at Universal Accounting, we look at business this way. And I've used this model for years now. Michael Gerber wrote about a similar model in his book, The E-Myth. And in it, you know, we've got sales and marketing as an area of business. We've got production and operations as an area of business. We've got admin and accounting. It's your sales and marketing that maximize the opportunity of growth in your business. If you don't grow sales, you don't grow a business. I mean, that's where growth comes from. To realize the opportunity is where you really cement that long-term relationship with your people, your clients, and keep them coming back again and again. If you don't fulfill the promise there, you're going to lose customers over time. Then you have the admin and accounting that keeps kind of all track of everything and manages it so that you're optimizing your costs, meaning I'm not going to minimize my costs because I may want to actually increase certain costs if they're paying me back. Optimizing your costs means that every single cost is returning you maximum return. You want to minimize the risks, insurance and policies and procedure manuals and compliance and all of that stuff that can take away your business like that. You want to make sure you've got your bases covered as well. That's kind of in the admin place. Now, when most people start, Gerber brought this out in the E-Myth, and we bring it out. Most people come from a production standpoint. In other words, they came from doing now what their business says for them to do, right? They didn't come from a sales and marketing background, may not even have any experience there. And they may not have any experience in accounting and bookkeeping and business processes and regulations and all of that stuff. Now, this is like a guy walking around trying to make his business grow, but he's got a leg in both arms, or let's say a leg and an arm maybe. He's got one leg that he's really strong, but the other two are just very weak. And he's not really going to make progress or go anywhere until he gets all three of these areas up to 100% in his business. Now, how do you do that? Well, you've got to grow your business beyond yourself. So you've got to bring in other people. Now, that's either as an advisor, a counselor, it could be a contractor, it could be a personal assistant, it could be a number of ways to do this. You cannot do this alone. There is no one person that knows enough or has enough experience, and most importantly, has enough time to give a business everything it needs to grow. Okay, so what do? As the business owner getting started, you look at setting up performance standards that will make your business grow. Here again, you may need an advisor to help you with that. I don't know. But if you don't have experience in that, if you're coming from production, you may. What are the standards of performance, the key performance indicators in each of these areas? And then can you get somebody that can focus just on that for you? Train them, give the tools they need, and make them accountable to report their performance against standard and what they're doing about it to get standard. You do that in every area of your business will grow because now it's independent of you. So we get into phase 2 where we start to bring people in. We bring in an expert advisor. We're still maybe doing all the work, but now we're getting the real help we need to understand what needs to be done in those areas. So our performance in those areas increases and our business begins to grow. We then enter into phase 3, where it's growing to the point we need to bring somebody in that's better than us in those areas that we didn't come from. We don't need as much advisory role to do the work. We can now have our employees, or if you want to do contractors, we'll talk a little bit about that as far as sales is concerned. They're now doing most of the work, and those areas of your business are growing, tremendously, and that's helping your business grow, and you're able to scale. You bring on a couple of salespeople maybe, and then you reach a point finally where you're growing to the point where now you're an operational owner. You're still over the area that you have expertise in, but now you have other team members that are 100% experts in their areas. And so you now have a manager over sales with enough salespeople to justify him. He may still even be selling. A good sales manager will always dabble in sales, although it is a different set of tools, just like coaching a football team is different than being a quarterback. You still may want some of that expert consultation on the outside helping, but now you've got all three areas of your business at 100%. So the next jump is what we want to get you to be the actual CEO of a company, is where you have all three of these areas expertly managed, operating at 100%, and you're the CEO doing nothing but focusing on managing the profitability of the company and holding the managers in each three of those areas for contributing to that profitability of the company and giving them stewardship over those three areas. Now your business is independent of you. Now take a trip to Hawaii, you still get paid. Okay? And that really is the acid test. If you're away, does your business still pay you? Now you're getting paid because you own the business, not because you just work into it. So that's where real entrepreneurship comes in. That's where they want to go. So that's what this is going to be talking about. How do we take that first step that kills most businesses, or even worse, puts them in the worst state, I think, for a small business owner, and that is chronic marginal profitability. You're just making enough that you can't justify closing your business, but you're not making enough to enjoy yourself, your life, and you feel trapped. It's terrible. So let's get you beyond that. But to do that, you first have to get sales beyond yourself. So we're going to talk about that. The first area that we talked about was what we call status quo, and we want to get you to status grow, okay? Where the owner delegates stewardship, the owner is paid for ownership because he owns the business and not because he works in it. That is the hope realized for the entrepreneur. So if we're talking about expanding your sales team, or your sales function in your business to be independent of you, the first question we have to ask is, who are you looking for? Or do I even need to do this? Well, I ask clients this question. If you were to have somebody walk into your business and he had exactly your resume, your work history, your experience, would he be the guy you hire to totally take over your sales function and manage it for you? You know, and as we look at our own resume, I don't really have sales background. If you don't come from that background, or I don't have the experience I would expect of somebody I would hire. You know, my experience is really in operations, or is in accounting or admin or something along those lines. No, I haven't had a lot of sales experience. And by the way, if somebody then would come in and say, you know, I don't have a lot of sales background, most of my background is in production and operations. And by the way, I have a lot of things on my plate, so I'm probably only going to work for you and helping you with sales a few hours a week. Would you hire them? And I almost get a unanimous, no, I wouldn't. But that's what you've done by being the sales guy and the sales manager yourself. You can see how that could be limiting to your business. Again, get it out of your mind that your business is you, or that you are your business. Your business is independent of you, and it must be seen that way if you're going to grow it. So are you the best person to do the sales for your business? Well, initially, we're kind of forced into it. Initially, we've got to figure out some things. Initially, that's why we go to experts to help us with that. So you'd go to a Boyd or a James in terms of lead generation, which we're going to talk about as a foundation of stability for your sales force. You'd go to others for, you know, how do I set up my accounting system and my measurements, and and what kind of report should I be reading, and what do they mean, and can you interpret them for me, so that you're also gaining expertise in these areas, so that you're at least being able to function in those areas. And so initially you need to go to somebody like Sandler to maybe learn, or I'll be able to help you too. I've got a whole online class that teaches you what to say, how to say it. And it's specifically designed for people who have no sales experience as business owners. You've got to figure some of this stuff out yourself, because you want to own the sales function. Okay. So we want to hire somebody, and a lot of people say, well, I can't afford it. And that's, we can help with that. We can set a plan, or you need to set a plan, come up with a plan to be able to afford it, save for it, put money aside, and be able to really look at bringing somebody on for 30 to 90 days and pay for that while they're coming up, ramping up, and becoming an integral part of your team in growing your business. Make sure they have sales experience and expertise. They have documented sales results. They're full-time, and they're fit to your culture. That's what your business deserves. Now, we may need to get there in a couple of steps, but this is what we're shooting for. At least one other person, and eventually a whole team of salespeople that can focus on nothing else 100% of the time than meeting their performance standards for bringing in new business. So there's two ways to do this, okay? We've got option A and option B. Option A is what I call the Uncle Eddie, Cousin Eddie method, okay? You're thinking one day, you're at home, you say, hey, Margaret, I need a sales guy. Your cousin Ed, he was in car sales or something, wasn't he? Oh, yeah. What's he doing now? Well, I think he's unemployed. Oh, would he be available? Sure. So you call cousin Ed, you have a talk with him. Hey, I need a salesperson. Great, super. I can do that. I've been in sales all my life. And he comes on board, and you say, okay, here's what we do. Here's what we sell. Great, I'll go get you some clients. And day one goes by, and you try to call Ed, but you can't reach him. Day two goes by, you can't reach him. By the end of the week, you're kind of wondering what happened to cousin Ed. And Friday night, you're at home and you say, hey, Margaret, have you heard from your cousin Ed? I haven't heard from him all week. He said, oh yeah, he moved back to California. And there you are, left again for, now, luckily he got out of your hair pretty quickly. Worst case would have been that he would have kept leading you along week after week after week with no sales. And not so much, you're probably paying them on commission, so you're not losing a lot of money, but you're losing a lot of time and opportunity cost. So this is no way to do it, but it's the way that most small business owners that I've worked with think that that's all there is to it. Find somebody, plug them in, get them out, and sell. No, as the owner of a business, if you want this to take off, there's a lot more responsibility and work for you to put into preparing for it than just that. So the B side of that is to hire smart and sure. You look at a proven hiring process. You put together specific relevant search criteria, a formal job description that outlines exactly what you want them to do with quantifiable performance standards. Now, I recommend that there is a primary performance standard that trumps everything. So, in other words, if they're doing their job and meeting the primary performance standard, now in our case where I'm managing now, it's a 30-day rolling total of daily sales. And it's set at $50,000. So if they're making $50,000 in the last 30 days of sales coming in, the job is theirs. This is what I tell them. If you're doing that, the job is yours. If you're not doing that, the job is ours. Because my job as a sales manager is to make sure that they are above standard. You want to make sure that you give them the training and the tools necessary to meet standard and exceed it. And you want to give them the opportunity for frequent, consistent accountability to report back to you how they're doing with their stewardship. So another way to look at this is option A, Cousin Eddie, is kind of builds a sales force that over time may look like this, kind of messy. Have you ever been involved as a potential customer with this kind of a sales function in a business? I have. The other way to do it is it's planned, it's budgeted, you have a long-term vision for it. There's consistency in it, a firm foundation for growth, meaning lead generation. Consistency, meaning lead generation, is solved. It's documented, inspected, maintained, measured, so that you can know your formula and your economics to easily duplicate it and scale it, okay? So let's talk about the first step, and that's to overcoming this, not only a hurdle, I look at it as a 20-foot pole vault. It's the most difficult transition you may ever make as a business owner, or at least it's the first really difficult one. I can say that without reservation. The first thing to do is to determine and document your sales process and metrics. So you kind of got to figure it out. Get out there, talk to people, see what works in bringing in your initial clients. Here again, advisors are very helpful. People who've had sales background that you can go to, talking to them. But it's the process of turning strangers into prospects. This is marketing. Prospects into friends. That's kind of marketing. Now, friends into new customers, that's sales. New customers into repeat customers, and repeat customers into advocates and referral sources of your business. This is the sales process. So what's the difference between marketing and sales? Marketing is everything that either figuratively or literally, if you have a retail space, gets them to the front door, okay? Sales is everything that gets them through the door, across the floor, and paying at the cash register. That's sales, okay? So look at those two as functions that deserve a separate focus. It's all part of the process and should seem seamless to your potential customer, but they each deserve their particular focus. You need to look at what your sales process is in terms of funnel stages. As you bring on clients and figure out a good way to at least start the process, and with some advisory services, you can figure this out and get it set pretty easily. But for the most part, it's you generate a lead, and there must be a discussion at some point, an appointment where you can, as was said in the previous section, really dig in and discover their problem so that you can present the right solution, come to financial agreement, get them on as a client, and then continue to resell them. So you want to map that out before you have, or at least attempt to map that out before you ever look at hiring somebody else. You also need to understand the different ways that you can market and sell, the different channels that we have available to us today. Face-to-face, telephone, email, social media, print media, direct mail. So they all kind of differentiate themselves in that telephone is a very good one for both moderate reach and high touch. You don't have to be in the same place, but you have to talk to them at the same time. It is kind of in the middle ground too, as far as expense. Low reach, highest touch, face-to-face is by far the most expensive, but it's also the most responsive. So you want to make sure that you reserve that function for the most qualified prospects. And then you can use the least expensive and the least responsive over a broad range of prospects to help funnel people who self-qualify. And so which of these do you use to go how far in your sales process? And this person that you're hiring, what part of that are they going to play? So at Universal Accounting, for example, we're built on a model. We do a lot of internet marketing throughout the United States and Canada and have a flow of leads coming in every single day. So our salespeople start prospecting those leads, glean from those then customers that they start working and turning into students. And so that's the way we do it. So when I hire a salesperson, I hire for them to engage on down. We have a separate salesperson that deals with them after they've initially enrolled to retain and get referrals. Okay. So as you get bigger, you may need separate people for each of these different functions. And in fact, the best place to usually start to grow your sales team is with somebody who can prospect and set appointments for you. Okay. Now, if you look at it this way, where do you spend most of your sales time? It's prospecting. How much of your total product or offering, and how deeply do you need to know your offering to be able to talk in general terms about it, get people interested, and set an appointment? You certainly don't need the amount of training, expertise, knowledge that you have. And that'll come handy later in the presentation, discovery, presentation of solution, and bringing them on as a client. Absolutely. But the first place to start is lead generation. How can I generate leads consistently? Now, I know I'm talking to a lot of people that do a lot of networking. That's a good place to start generating leads. But there's also, as Boyd and James will tell you, a lot of ways to generate leads that don't take anybody's time. They just take perhaps a little money. Okay. If you're going to manage your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Google ads, your SEO yourself, it will take a lot of time. So I highly recommend getting an expert on that. You'll think you're saving money by doing it yourself. You won't. You'll think, oh, I want to learn it myself. Well, you will, but you'll learn it the hard way, and it'll take you longer than bringing in an expert who can also teach you, but much more quickly than you would learn on your own. And they can start generating leads, because the first constraint of business growth is always your ability to profitably generate leads. You'll never grow beyond your capacity to do that. So once the lead is in, then what level of training is responsible for just contacting them and maybe setting an appointment? Now, we don't have an appointment setter. Once they connect with somebody, we want them to carry them through to close. We do have an exception. For older leads, we do have, and this is just kind of an entry-level telemarketing position, calling the old leads to see if they can set appointments with people that have aged. And that's successful for us in revitalizing maybe 10% of those old leads over time, but at no incremental cost for new leads. So it's very lucrative for us to do that. So initially, you may want to look at getting somebody on board that can work with you to do the prospecting and get them to the appointment stage where you can handle them that way. You're not spending near the time selling at that point. They can set more appointments for you. And now the same amount of time that you're spending now to sell, 75% of which is just prospecting, they can fill up 100% of the time that you usually spend to sell actually meeting with clients. So that'd be a good place to start. You need to put a sales system in place. Once these leads start coming in, you've got to manage them. There's never been so many different programs available online at reasonable rates for you to be able to manage your leads. You need to be careful. We've built our system in one called Zoho, but there's a lot of other, HubSpot. I wouldn't recommend Salesforce. Some of the others that are really more designed for large enterprise implementation. But there are several good ones out there. This is where you bring the leads in. and can prospect from them. And the ones that aren't ready to buy right now, you work up an incubation system with email newsletters, webinars like this. Boyd, I think, would agree that his database is worth its weight in gold because he can keep offering value. And the ones then that are ready at any particular time do raise their hand and say, okay, Boyd, I'm ready now. And you'll find that too. We find again and again, probably 20% of our sales that we make are people who just within the last 3 to 6 months told us no. And we keep incubating them because they weren't ready at the time. But then an event will happen, they'll lose their job or whatever, and now they feel their need accelerated. They've got to go back to school to get our certifications and start their own accounting or bookkeeping business, and we've got them because we were still incubating them, even though they weren't ready at the time to go forward. We know that they probably eventually will be. And we've talked a lot about making sure that you get the lead faucet going. Why is this so important? Well, if you want to not just hire salespeople, because if you don't have a lead faucet, I guarantee you will do a lot of hiring of salespeople, but you won't do a lot of retaining of salespeople. You will have high turnover, and you will probably need to pay more for them to find leads than you would need to pay if you had a good lead system over time. Okay, you can save a lot in terms of commission rates. If you find the leads for them, you don't need to pay as large a percentage of every sale to the salesperson as you do if you're relying on them to find leads. And then again, the opportunity cost of having a high qualified salesperson spend 75% of their time prospecting instead of in appointments. You can kind of see where we're going with this. It's such a better use of their time, and you'll get so much more money coming in the front door if they are always in front of somebody because you've got a good lead force. They're not having to find those. So the next thing we need to look about is once we have the leads, what is our message out there? And how do we fit the marketplace? So it's about making the right presentation to the right people in the right way at the right time. And again, this doesn't mean that you need to hire a salesperson to figure this out. There are professionals, and you are a professional. You've been out there trying to sell it. If you can map what this presentation flow is and test it yourself to where you're getting results, not as a sales professional, you can rest assured that a sales professional will probably do as well or better than you with that presentation flow. Okay. Scripting and planning, presentation planning. And I don't usually like to do a word for word verbatim script, but there are steps that a script or presentation flow need to go through to make it work. And where sales are missed are usually where one or more of those basic steps are missed just because they're shooting from the hip. You got to remember that every prospect that you talk to is totally practiced and prepared to say no. They've got their script down. How many times have you had somebody tell you no in exactly the same words? Probably a lot. Or you haven't had a lot of people tell you no. Maybe that's good too. So you need to be totally prepared and practice with a proven process to engineer agreement and commitment and get a yes. And so we need to look at doing that. Now, once you've done all of that, now we can approach it, okay? Still a little more preparation involved in the approach. Number one, we have to determine our economics and budget. What is our cost structure in the company? How much can I afford to pay to bring a client in? That has a lot to do with your amount of revenue per client and their lifetime value. What is your gross margin per customer? Fixed costs are spread over all customers, but What is your incremental marginal cost for bringing on a new client, and your margin for that? We also want to make sure that we're including all incremental costs of bringing on a customer, and that we're including all incremental costs of bringing on a salesperson. And then how many clients would they have to bring on to cover that incremental cost? And I look at the formula of 2.5. In other words, if my incremental cost for bringing somebody on, I'm not at least bringing in 2.5x in revenue. In other words, 2.5 times more than they're costing me. I may not want to do it. Look at a growth plan. Sure, we'll bring on one. If he works out, are we ready to bring on another one right after? Or do we wait 6 months? What is our growth plan when the first one or two take off? Can we keep up with production if they start selling? We want to make sure, because that's the third constraint of business growth, is that you get out there and sell, and then your production can't keep up with sales. And so you can't sell more than you can deliver. Well, I guess you can, that's called back order, but it's not good business practice. You simply must increase your capacity in all three of those areas that we talked about at first. And so don't let your growth plan not handle growth in production as well as growth in sales. Then we need to calculate a winning compensation plan. I base mine on the performance standard. At performance standard, what is the total I can afford to pay based on my economics? I then cut that in half, and I go half to base and half to commission. Why do I do that? Number one, to attract the right kinds of people, and I'm assuming I want people who sell above standard, okay? And the better you get at this, the less risk you're taking in hiring salespeople, because the fewer will perform below standard. But if I am hiring below or above standard salespeople, what will happen is this: I can leverage the base, okay, to pay a lower percentage of overall compensation at high performance than I would if I were to have them on commission only, okay? So where I may have had to pay 20% in commissions if I were going straight commission, I can pay a $3,000 base plus 10% commission. Now you do the math on that. At, let's say your standard is $100,000. Do the math on that at 100,000, at 200,000, and 300,000 both ways, and you will see that you are paying significantly less in compensation at the higher levels than you would if you had them on straight commission. Okay. There's another thing. If you want turnover, if you want to keep having to hire salespeople, pay straight commission. There's just not the loyalty, there's just not the retention that there is with Base Plus if it's done right. So you need to do the math on that. And you want to also add bonus for exceptional results, because of the fact that every incremental sale is incrementally more profitable than the sale before it. Once they go over standard, you have a lot of money to work with to give them a boost as well. So share the wealth over that. Look at the incremental income at those different levels and give them a good percentage of it. And you'll still see that you're making out like a bandit on their performance, even kicking a good portion of that back to them for incentive. You also have spiffs where you can, based on what you want them to focus on, $25 here, $50 there for certain things that they can deliver. We're looking at right now implementing in our phone system some recording, and I want to put some training together with some good presentations that have been recorded. So in order to get them to do that, I am going to ask them to record some of their conversations on incoming calls. And in order to get that done, I'm going to say, we will pay you X amount for every phone conversation you submit that we use. And that gives them a good incentive to do that. So sometimes spiffs need to be used to get them to behave and do certain things that you want them to do. Document the job description. What is it that you want them to do? What's the title? Who does it report to? What tasks are required? What experience and skills are needed to perform those tasks? What are the performance standards? What's compensation? How long does it usually take them to ramp up? And just kind of put that in there. Just remember that all sales are not the same as well, and nor are all salespeople or all sales experience. You've got to kind of determine the sales position that you're hiring for. What type of sales is it really? Are you talking about managing accounts? Are you talking about consultative sales to bring in first-time clients? Are you talking about commodity sales where it's just that'll be 1095, thank you, like a cashier in a grocery store, for example? And so you need to kind of look at it. One of the biggest differences is inside versus outside sales. I have found that, or telephone versus outside, if you want to put it that way. Inside salespeople can migrate to outside sales. I've found it much more difficult to bring outside salespeople in and have them be satisfied in an inside sales job. So just some things I've learned over the years. And what are you looking for? You're looking for somebody who is an effective salesperson, meaning that they have both the affective and directive dimensions of selling down. They can build rapport on the front end, but they can be tough on the back end in leading the prospect to a decision to buy. In the middle, they make it all about the customer until it's time to make it about how the product solves their problems. And then it's all about getting it done and making the decision. And so this is an amazing thing. Somewhere in here, the basis of all of this is their ability to ask the type of questions that are important. One of the key things I look for in salespeople is their questioning ability. Can they build rapport using the right questions about the customer in a conversational way? Can they unearth some needs using a little deeper questioning and really get to discover the problem? Can they get to the third level of very sophisticated questions that are used not to gather information, or not only to gather information, but the kind of questions that are also getting the client to have some of their own revelations about their problems, the priorities, and the fact that they've got to get this problem solved. If they can do that, they're going to probably be a good salesperson. And if they can ask the questions that start to funnel and channel the prospect's thinking into making a decision and get it done, that's what I'm looking for in a salesperson. One of the drills I do when I hire is I ask them to go from hello to let's go in 20 questions, selling me a pen or a stapler or something very concrete and simple to sell. And it lets me see how comfortable they are with using questions in the process. Just understand there's a lot of different personality styles. And every one of them can be a good salesperson. I've usually found that in Myers-Briggs language, you've got the extrovert is good, but the introvert for higher level sales it can be even better. And again, this is a generalization, so it doesn't apply to everybody. In the DISC system, I've usually found that, or the color system, it's mainly red yellows are usually really good salespeople. But again, I find a lot of really good salespeople in other profiles as well. It's just good to know what you're working with, because every one of these can be used to be a great salesperson in a different way to different people. And one of the things that we do is hire to the different personality types, because we want the leads that come in to receive an email, a voicemail, and a text from every single one of our salespeople. You know, if they don't answer on the first one, we want somebody else to leave that, because their personality may connect better with that particular prospect. If neither of those get them, the third one maybe. And we found that each of them do get about the same number of responses. And so we think we're doing well in looking at making sure that we're covering the different types of people that we're trying to bring on as clients, with different personality traits of different salespeople. So then you want to look at, okay, so how will I know a good person when I find them? And that's selection criteria. What skills are required, what knowledge is required, what experience is required, what of this is required and what is just preference? What character traits am I looking for or require? You know, what are the personality styles and sales styles I'm looking for? And another good one to look for is, what is their circle of influence? Do they have a lot of influence in the industry I'm already in? A lot of contacts that would be helpful. That's another thing that's not necessarily a requirement, but could be a huge preference. So now we put the ad out. We want to write the ad to, I think I cover that next, but you get resumes in. You want to look at reasons to eliminate them at the resume level. Now, I want to caveat this. We're in a hiring crunch right now. I have never had more of a challenge in hiring good salespeople than I have right now. Even when they come on, it's hard to get them to stay more than a day. I don't know what it is with today's environment, but we're making progress. So I'm lightening up a little bit. So adapt it to the marketplace. When I wrote this, I had no problem when I first wrote this, getting people to apply. I had more than I could handle. So again, just adjust this to the job market. And if you're not getting a lot of people applying, you may want to relax a little bit. Don't hire anybody that you wouldn't hire anyway, but at least in the first stages, you may not need to eliminate everybody. Request them to do something, like send you some more information, or go watch a video, or do something to see how interested they really are, and then follow up with the responders. They've self-qualified. On the telephone interview, you look first, can they do the job? You look for the skill sets, the time experience that you're looking for. You want to verify the job history and details. You want to know, I think, on the phone call too, what got you interested in this, in the ad that you responded to? What was it that got your attention? And I always just ask them, what would you like the next step to be then? Because I want to see if they're going to ask for the sale. If I get somebody that smartly says, well, when do I start? I'd say, well, you know, we still need to find out if the job is right for you, don't we? And he'll say yes, but I give him points for going for the close. If they say something like, I don't know, what would the next step be? I might not be as interested in them, because I want a salesperson to be the determining factor and the leader of the conversation. So if I get somebody that takes this and kind of, okay, Clay, what's our next step then? When can we meet? I'm excited about meeting with that person. Then you schedule a face-to-face. In the face-to-face, you kind of get an idea about who they are and their culture and style, and will it fit with yours? You get to know them more as a person here. You kind of got to be careful, because you can't ask them all personal questions, But there's general questions you can ask, like, what do you do for fun when you're not at work? You know, what hobbies do you have? These are all questions that can lead you into their mind, but not violate any questioning protocols. And ask qualitative questions that can't be answered yes or no, to give you an idea about their integrity and other character traits. And they can be situational questions. Tell me about a time when you did something right, but got punished for it, and how you handled that. You know, so those kind of questions are really good. Have them demonstrate their skills. This is where I have them do the 20 question sales skill drill. Ask them about their sales philosophy, you know, all about that. And then invite them into a group interview if they've done well there. Get a couple of other people within your company, particularly stakeholders, to talk to them and get a feel for them that you can match up against. And then trust but verify 2 to 3 character references, 2 to 3 professional work references. Also look at their LinkedIn and Facebook profiles. And I would highly recommend, there's a lot of different sites out there that you can use, but get a background check done on them just to make sure that all is good. This is optional, but one that I found highly effective. If I really want to get to know them, invite them to dinner, have their family. And boy, you get to know a person so well by just taking them to dinner. It'd be well worth it, because if they pass this test, I think you've got a long-term keeper. And then in the offer interview, you get them there. You know, how do they want to proceed? Again, I give them an opportunity to close just to see if they will, if they'll take that. I want to know why they think this job is for them. I do this because there are times in managing where I want to go back and say, do you remember our hiring interview? Do you remember what I said to you as to why I was hiring you? Do you remember what you said as to why you took this job? Is that still true? And I've used that before in managing salespeople very effectively. So I don't like to pass up that opportunity. But yeah, make the offer, finalize the agreement, and get them to sign it. And congratulations, you've got a salesperson. Now, if you're smart and you've done a good job, you may have a couple of candidates that are great. And you may want to check your economics, because sometimes it pays to hire 2. Salespeople can keep each other competitive. You kind of have a control check there in terms of, is it my leads? Is it my product? Is it the marketplace? But if you have 2 and they're competing against each other, if they're both down, you have a better read on where the problem might be. If one's up and one's down, the one that's down can't say, well, it's the marketplace, or it's the product, or it's the leads, because they're both feeding from the same trough. And so it can be very, very smart to hire 2 instead of just 1, especially since you've gone through the process anyway. If you find 2, look at your economics and see what you can afford. But I highly recommend it, if it's economically feasible, to bring on more than 1 if you have more than 1 highly qualified prospect at the end. Okay, lifting. I'm at about out of time, aren't I? Do I need to be winding up?
Sorry, yes, you are. In fact, I was just about to come on.
Okay, so let's just talk lift real quick. And that's just, once you bring them on, then managing and motivating them, make sure you keep them accountable, especially at first. Help them solve their own problems. At first, it'll be more like explaining and training, but as they get good, stop giving them the answers and make them give you the answers. Always keep it fun and positive, and always be calm as a sales manager. They are willful, and so sometimes you just have to be the calm one and clarify with questions and work them through. Make sure that as they gain experience, gain knowledge, start to reach standard, you leave them alone. Unless they need help, unless they're performing below standard, they want to just sell. and give them some autonomy and let them amaze you. And you'll have that point where they're ramped up, ready to go, and you release them into the world now as somebody that's 100% focused on doing nothing but bringing in new clients, and you're scaling your business. Because if you can do that with one person, you can now do it with 2, you can do it with 5, you can do it with 10. You've got the system down, and let's celebrate.
So that's great.
Congratulations, you've taken the leap. You have graduated to a business owner, because now you've got a salesperson out there selling no matter what you're doing.
Good
Cool.
stuff.
So that was great information. And of course, it's a good story to tell the, somebody who's new, but also those that are in business, and it really is, they've provided their own job. And
Yeah.
so I think that's good.
I'm so surprised at how much that is a problem, that people think they can do it all themselves. You've got to get away from that mindset. You've got to figure out, and I love, it kind of ties into next week's team building and leadership, because you just have to be open to knowing you can't do anything great. You can't build a company really alone. You just can't do it.
You want to build your business to be like your children, an independent, contributing member of society. All right?
Absolutely.
Children are no fun unless they grow up to be independent of you and contributing to society. Particularly
100%.
as you reach retirement and maybe death, it's good to have them very successful to take care of you. The business is the same way. You don't want to leave it in your womb stillborn all its life and carry it around for 20 years stillborn in your womb. It stinks, and it's not a very good life. Get it out, get it into the world, get it weaned from you, get it independent of you, get it contributing to society, and get it growing up. And it will take care of you the rest of your life if you'll do that.
Perfect.
But you can't do that without increasing sales.
Well, I had one comment that says this was excellent. So thank you very much, Clay.
Well, thank you. And if anybody has any comments or questions, can they email me?
Yeah, give them your email address.
Okay, my email address is clay@, and use this one for now, clay@universalaccounting.com. And just put in the header BizSuccess conference, and I'll know that it's from here, and can pay attention to it. I get a lot of emails. So if you'll do that for me, I can weed yours to the top of priority. Okay?
Okay.
But any questions you have, let me know. This is great.
Yep. Well, that was great. So thank you very much.
Always awesome.
I'm gonna
Thank you.
put you back into being an attendee. If you can stay, we'd love to have you here.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Great conference.
All right. Okay. So I just turned off your sharing, and now I'll put you into the being an attendee. And up next, we have Kim. We're going to quickly take a little bit of a break. Maybe, I want Kim to have all the time he needs it. So maybe we'll just carry on. So what do you think?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Well, here comes Kim. And so there it is. Hello, Kim.
There we go.
Well, we can hear you and we can see you. Yay.
Bravo.
All right. Okay.
Can we do a mic check real quick? Are you?
Yes. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Awesome. We're just going to jump right into it.
Go ahead. Let's go right
bios.
into
Are you
it.
okay with me introducing and all that good stuff?
Yeah, and I have an introduction page for me as well, so I'll show that now if that's okay.
Awesome. And I just have a really quick snippet that I'd like to introduce you to, just kind of because that's what we do. And it's Kim
Sounds
Kirsten,
good, Bobby.
right?
Yeah, I'll follow your lead, Bobby.
Awesome. And it's Kim Kirsten, right?
Kirsten,
Kirsten.
Kirsten.
I am the world's worst with names, but I got it. Kim Kirsten. Thank you so much. Kim has a passion for personal branding, creating online brand loyalty, training, and content development. He is an expert in optimizing innovative branding initiatives to optimize online brand visibility via LinkedIn profiles. Woo! This is awesome. He creates transformative marketing value with his media contacts, unique promotional videos, mobile apps, and social media profiles. We're going to turn it over to Kim. Kim, take it away. You've got the floor.
Cool. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Let's see if I can get this thing working.
Just hit from beginning on the far left.
Far left.
Left.
Up from beginning.
Yeah, the other left. That's it.
Here we go. How's this look?
Now we
Perfect.
got it. Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to go through a couple of slides very quickly, and then Boyd has volunteered for me to use his LinkedIn profile, if you're still agreeable to that, Boyd.
Sure.
Okay, and I'll basically run Boyd through the process that I go through with my clients when I'm going through the profile process. And once I go through these few slides, I've got about 6 slides to go through, you'll realize that it's simpler than you think, and it's designed so that you can pay attention to your own profile and even upgrade your profile with various pieces of content that will resonate with your target audience. So my background, I come from the pharmaceutical industry. I was in the pharmaceutical industry for 35 years. I was in field sales as a sales manager, but then also in corporate accounts, which I did more recently for 25 years. And I left the company probably about 10 years ago and was doing some consulting. And then I actually ended up in digital marketing. I started by doing LinkedIn profiles for people that worked for the company that I worked with. And so I ended up getting into personal branding and online visibility. One of the things that I did as a corporate account manager was represent the customer to the client and represent the customer to the company that I worked for, but also represented the company to the customer. And so it's kind of a dance that you do between customer and companies that you represent. And it's really no different when someone's working for a company and they're trying to get a prospect or prospective client to align with certain modes of thinking. I believe that LinkedIn is the one place where all business people should get their profile set up, whether it's a local business owner, a VP of a company, or a marketing manager. That's where LinkedIn is actually developed into a great database. And obviously, LinkedIn pays attention to recruiters because that's where all the people set up their profile. And so we're going to talk about strategies to optimize the LinkedIn profile. And if you look at the second bullet here, it talks about using keywords and various forms of media to highlight your LinkedIn profile to optimize your product and or services. So here's a great quote. I love this quote because it's talking about the value of keywords. And that's one of the things that you can use to create an understanding of what you do, like just creating an awareness. LinkedIn, why LinkedIn? Well, that's where all the business people are. I mean, that's over 600 million people on LinkedIn. So when that becomes as prominent as it is, you're looking here, C-level executives, 10 million C-level executives, 3 million MBA graduates. So when you use keywords on your profile, such as CEO, maybe there's 3 million CEOs on LinkedIn. So you probably have to be a little more detailed to highlight your expertise other than being a leader for a company. And that's the point I want to demonstrate today as we go through optimizing the profile. Statistically, LinkedIn is really the place to be for business. It's where people go for more leads. And it's considered to be a very effective lead generation by a number of businesses out there. And then here, 80% of LinkedIn members down the lower right corner, 80% of LinkedIn members want to connect with companies to enhance their decision-making. So there's all sorts of businesses and people on LinkedIn. They're all there. And I have to say that when I do searches on Google, LinkedIn is always on page one. You know, when you're looking for a particular business, Google pays attention to what is listed on LinkedIn. So if you have a business, and even though you might be a solopreneur, it's a good idea to get your business listed on LinkedIn for that very reason. So let's start from top to bottom when you look at the LinkedIn profile. And these slides will demonstrate why it becomes an important part of paying attention to what your profile looks like. Right here, I have a blank banner and a blank profile picture. And there's no question that if you have a profile picture on your LinkedIn profile, it's going to get more engagement. And then secondly, having an image on your LinkedIn profile or a banner on your LinkedIn profile, it's going to even get further attention. Now, the banner is obviously a picture, but there's no reason why you can't put your keywords on that banner. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to show how you can easily create your own banner and add it to your LinkedIn profile. Now here we go to the next step, and here's where I put in a banner, and I've kind of superimposed a map of the United States in the back picture of this. I call this landscape graphic, but this is really just highlighting personal branding. You see a cloud up here in the upper left, so that's supposed to reflect online marketing. So you can be very creative with the banner and what sort of messages it's sending to the viewer. Below my name is what we call the headline. And oftentimes people will put their work experience position or their current job position or job role in that area. And I want to emphasize the fact that it's designed to be a headline. So when you look at headlines in newspapers or on magazine covers or whatever, they're trying to get people to look even further at that profile. So the idea here is to make sure that your headline on your LinkedIn profile tells a story, and that story is really important. So when we go down below the headline, we go to the About section or the LinkedIn summary, and these are areas that I focus on. I focus on value proposition. We focus on your products or services. We focus on your target audience. We focus on the value of your products or services. We talk about accomplishments, and we even add a couple of testimonials into the About section. And then at the end, obviously a call to action. What do you want your prospect to do? Call you, or do you want them to go to your website? There's a lot of different things you can get them to do. Another area on the LinkedIn profile is featured content. And featured content is an area where you can actually feature great content. So it could be a post that you make on your LinkedIn profile. It could be a video. It could be an article that you post, or it could just be an image that you've posted. And one thing I've realized after talking to a number of people where I'm doing profiles, and I told them, you know what, when you do a video on LinkedIn, and certainly LinkedIn loves to have you post your own video content, you can use a YouTube link, but you can also post the video separately directly onto LinkedIn. If you go down to the bottom of the posting box, you'll see that they'll allow you to add a thumbnail for that video. And the thumbnail is great because you can highlight another area of expertise that you have. And that content, once it's posted, there's a way that you can feature that posting, that video, in the featured content section. And this is where you can actually do that. Right here is where it would show up. And I'll show you on my profile how that happens. And then we talk about other things that you can do: video testimonials, audio testimonials, written testimonials. I just want to make sure that you pay attention to areas on your LinkedIn profile where you can get recommendations for your products and your services. So that's it for the presentation here on PowerPoint, and I'm going to shift over to LinkedIn and make sure, let's make sure that you're going to see my profile here, and now we can see my profile. Ah, we see Boyd's profile. Cool. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, Boyd, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to use a note here.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull up another thing that I use all the time, and it's what I call as an untitled notepad. And I'm going to share that with you. And I want you to note here, I have my LinkedIn link right here. So by all means, if you want to reach out to me via LinkedIn, here's my link. It's linkedin.com/in/Kim Kirsten. But Boyd, let's talk about keywords. And I'm going to ask you to throw out some keywords to me. I'm going to take some of those keywords and we're going to do a search for those keywords and see what comes up. Now, the point of that particular exercise is to make sure that your audience realizes where those keywords will show up when we do a search. So I'm going to take these keywords, do a search. We only need maybe 3 to 4 keywords, and then we'll start at the top and do some searches and see what shows up on LinkedIn.
Okay. So keywords that for me would be, of course, social media. And then, of course, I usually use, like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Okay.
Instagram.
I'm going to stay away from LinkedIn on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, and I can understand that. Another one that's really strong for me is Pinterest.
Okay. So when you talk about social media platforms, what do you consider yourself? Would you consider yourself an expert in these 3 social media platforms?
Yes.
Do you consider yourself a consultant in these areas?
Yes.
Anything else?
A trainer.
Okay. Do you do training in social media?
I do.
Okay, so that's another keyword.
Training. Yep.
So now the reason I'm asking these questions is because when someone does a search for your expertise, what are they going to search for on LinkedIn?
A lot of times, the people I get from LinkedIn right now, social media is the #1 thing I get. People that they're saying that's what they search for and came up with me.
So would they search for social media expert, social media consultant, or just social media?
Usually it's social media or social media consultant.
Okay. So this is what I do. I get these search requests, and I'm going to go to LinkedIn. So I'm going to copy. Maybe I'm going to write in social media, and then I'm going to write in social media consultant on the search. So I'm going to go now. I'm going to go back to LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a search here for social media. So it's doing my search, and you want to make sure you're searching for people for social media. Now, you can see the results here for the word social media. How many search results do I get?
24 million.
Okay, so now how are you going to get discovered out of 24 million search results?
So you've got to use a longer keyword.
Yeah, so we have to go with a longer tailed keyword. So I'm going to put in the word consultant here and see if that changes the results.
Okay.
So it comes up with 233,000. That's
Yep.
actually even far better than
24
millions
million.
of
Yeah.
results. So let's go down here and see what these profiles look like. This is part of the exercise because I want to say, okay, if we search for social media consultant, what's going to come up in those results? And here we see creative marketing, social media consultant, social media consultant. Now we know that social media consultant comes up, but I actually think you might want to consider even another component to that keyword. I would actually suggest maybe social media training consultant, because that's one of the things that you're very good at. You're good at training. And
True.
this thing is an example of that. And so we see here, social media consultant is very prominent. So I'm going to jump forward to maybe the 5th page. Well, look here. Okay, here's what LinkedIn's helping you decide on some other possible keywords. Social media marketing, social media strategist, social media coordinator, social media director. These are all some other keywords. And these are actually keywords you should also pay attention to these.
So social media marketing is one that I get a lot of calls from.
Yeah. So if I put in marketing here versus consultant, maybe I'm just going to put in marketing consultant.
That's a good idea.
Now you have to think like, like your prospective client's going to think like, is how I'm going to find someone. Now, the results show up here quite a bit. They show up a lot of companies using those keywords. And obviously these companies use these keywords for a reason because of the search results. But I'm going to do the search here, but I'm going to make sure I focus on people. And again, we break it down even further to 170,000 results versus 230,000 plus. So we're getting more granular in the results here. The other thing I want to highlight here is we see the headlines come up here, but I want you to see here where it says current. Now that current is the current role. Okay, so I'm going to jump to one of these profiles here. I'm going to jump to Cheryl Johnson's profile here in a new tab and make sure you can see her profile here. Okay, can you see Cheryl's profile?
Yep.
Okay, so we see that's her headline here, but I'm going to go down to see where that other piece showed up. It's right here under work experience.
Okay.
So this work experience is discoverable by the LinkedIn algorithm. That's the point I want to make, is when you have a position under your work experience, you want to make sure you're going to put your keywords after the word. It could be consultant, comma, and it could be creative marketing and social media, or it could be director, comma. You want the keywords to show up there. I think that's important to demonstrate there. Now, the other thing that's discoverable, what I'll show you when I go back to the search results, is the first 3 lines of the about section. That's right here. That's these three lines on the about section. Those will show up here, and you need to make sure those keywords are included. So if I go back here to social media, I want to make sure that if someone is missing the summary, that they have it current. Now, I'm not seeing it show up here, but sometimes the about section will show up in the search results here. I'm going to jump to page 4 and see if something else shows up here. Current position is still showing up. Current position, current position. It shows other shared connections, but also keep in mind that you also are allowed to put in your services that you provide on your LinkedIn profile, and that shows up here. Provides these services: social media marketing, content marketing, email marketing, training. So you want to make sure these keywords are also included in the services that you provide. Again, I just want to stress the fact that current position is really important. Your headline is really important, and these services are really important. Let me jump a little bit further, page 6. And let's, again, that's just validating what I just said. You want to make sure that these things are really important. So if we go back to the profile search results, let's see, I'm going to go back to click clear here. I'm going to go back to your profile. Now, now this is where you would want to consider whether or not you want to change your headline to cover those keywords. Okay, that's one place where you could do it. The other thing that I look here is I look under contact info, and I want to make sure you have a website here and that your LinkedIn link is here as well. And those are fine. I want to make sure that your first 3 lines here cover areas that you focus on. I don't see training in here at all in the about section.
True.
I don't see training up here in your headline. And if I go down here to BP Media and SLC, here you say owner of BP Media. It's just as good to say owner, comma. You don't need to put in a BP Media because that's going to be right under your name anyway.
Okay.
So I call that duplication of content. I like the idea that you've got building solutions for business social media here. And the thing you want to make sure is that your spelling's correct. And building is
Yeah,
incorrectly spelled.
It's incorrect.
You probably set that up for me. I know you. Anyway, you want to make sure all your spellings are correct. Sometimes I always miss something on my profile. In fact, I looked at something that I had that I put, it's been out there for a couple of years, and I had a misspelled word. So I always ask a friend of mine or a business associate of mine, can you go and look at my profile and make sure everything's in order? And when I do profiles for clients, I always make sure that everything's in order. I'm just going to go one more place. I'm going to go to Canva because I don't want to miss the value of creating some content on the banner here. And here you've got some written content on your banner, which is great. Advertising, that looks like that's another one of your keywords, which you did not give me initially, but you've got it up here. And this is a place that if you've got social media consultant or marketing consultant in other places, another place where you could put a keyword is up here in the banner, and that could be leader in social media training. And how you would do that is I'm going to go to Canva and I'm going to go to a new, let's see, screen share here for Canva.
We're seeing it.
We're right there. We're seeing it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my designs. And I've got this all ready to go as far as a LinkedIn banner. So the thing I want to emphasize here is the size of the banner, 1584 by 396 pixels. And remember that Canva is a free tool. I pay $12 a month for Canva because it gives me additional features and it allows me to get some additional graphics or images. But if I were to look for something here for like social media, I'll do a search here for social media. And it'll pull up some content here. And I might just grab any of these images over here on the left, but I'll put those here and I'll just create, put this really large here. And so my social media banners kind of taking shape right now. And then I'll grab a box here to put some written content. So what I do with this, I spin this so I can spin it more easily because you can duplicate this and create additional banners, which is kind of cool with get my image out of the way. So I move this over here. I stretch this out here and I pull this down here. And now I've got a place I can put some written content. And let's go here like this. I'll put this in white, and then I'm going to add some text. And this, here's where I'm going to put leader in social media training. I gotta make sure I spell this right. And I put that up here, and then I can put a logo. If I take some of the elements that I've already uploaded, say I put a logo like this up here. Here's my logo that I use. And I would put the logo right up here. And this is where you could put your logo for your branding. And then there's some other things. You can change the color of this very easily. Let's see how does gray look? gray doesn't look too bad, or maybe something like this, or maybe something with blue. You know, I always like to pull colors out of here, like this green here. So I'll use this, and this matches up with green in the banner. And that's what Canva does. It gives you the colors that are in the graphics that you use. Then I would download this and put it on my profile. And that's it.
Well, that's cool.
So I think
So I've
that
taken a whole bunch
answer
of notes here,
questions.
so that's great. I
Yeah.
see. I'm going to be spending an hour this afternoon with LinkedIn.
Yeah. So, you know, I have a questionnaire that I can show if you want, you know, that I use for content for all my LinkedIn profiles that I do. It's a questionnaire that people can get the link, and then they can actually look at what content I asked for. I'll just show you what that questionnaire looks like.
We have a question too, just
Yeah.
heads up.
So the
So-
question is, he got you down to 166,000. What is the good objective for granularity?
That's a good question. I'm not sure there's a right answer to it because it depends on your niche. And, you know, I can further say that location is another way to go granular. If you're working in a particular area, then you can add on the state that you're in, or the city or county that you're in, and that would further break it down. And that's just good SEO, is that, you know, it could be social media marketing consultant, California. And that way you're going to get a much smaller search result for it. And that will allow you to hone in areas that you're working.
Would it
But
be
if
good to
you're-
say like
what was that?
Utah's best or something like that? Or is that, you know, saying like Utah's best, or I don't know.
You can go best marketing consultant, social media. Yeah, absolutely.
But saying Utah's best, like specifically, or you just say Utah on the end.
Just put the
because
state at the end. You know, it's like the algorithm doesn't care about articles in there like the or a or any of that or best. I mean, they're going to go for the main keywords. And that's why when I do headlines, I was telling someone this morning, I said, it doesn't really matter whether you have an apostrophe S or whatever. You just want the primary root word in that headline, because that's what the algorithm is looking for. And look, I always do searches on Google as well, because Google does a really good job of giving you other search results and other ideas that might work better. You know, like social media strategist. I like that one because it means you're thinking twice of what you're putting into your social media platform.
I like it.
Those are great ideas. So, yes. The only problem I have, if I say Utah, it limits me to that. And I have probably 45% of my clients are outside of Utah.
Right.
And it came from not having Utah in it. You know, Arizona, Australia, New Zealand, England.
Right.
Those are some of the ones that I have. And so,
Yeah.
you know, it's you don't want to limit yourself either. But if you are somebody who is, you know, you're working one-on-one with people all the time, then maybe you do want to put in Utah, because that's where you want to keep your business.
Right. And look, if you talk to any of the affiliate marketers or whatever, or those that are in digital marketing, you know, they're always going to say, you're going to do best with those people you know already. So you go into the local businesses, and you go to the local businesses, you're going to get traction because they trust you and they know you. And
Right.
that's where you can start building your portfolio, and then you get recommendations. Then you can start marketing your recommendations. Look, I've got, you know, if anybody has any questions about me on LinkedIn profiles, go look at my recommendations. I keep them current. My most recent recommendations within the past couple of months. So those are
Good.
ways that you can validate.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well,
So
we got to
good.
get into our next person. Kim, thank you so much for being on and being here. And can you put into the chat, and I'll repost it to everyone, a way for people to get a hold of you?
Yep. I'll put in the link into my my profile.
Perfect. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to bring up Princess Kim White is how she's put it in here.
Yeah,
So,
princess.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say real quick how much that I learned in that last presentation, and we continue to just kick butt with people that are on target as far as how what they need to know. So
There she is.
Hello,
Howdy,
Kim.
Princess
you're
Kim.
still muted.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
There you go. Okay.
Hello.
she's never
Hello there.
muted. Yeah, she's never muted, no matter what.
Ever.
Right, Kim?
That's right.
This is a kindred spirit right here. You guys are in for a treat. She's gonna blow you away. So hopefully strap into your seats. And
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Exactly. All right. Well, Bobby, go ahead and introduce her.
Yes,
Let's
I would
get
love
going.
to introduce Kim White. What an amazing human being. She is the founder and fierce leader of the My Sexy Business team. Ooh, that just sounds good. I'm excited. She is a serial entrepreneur, author, international speaker, mastermind facilitator, podcaster, host for multiple online events, magazine publisher, and creator of the How to Collaborate Your Way to More Profits program. Welcome and take away the stage, Kim White, Princess Kim White.
Oh
Thank
my
you
gosh.
so much.
So how does she have time with all those other things to get some time out for us today?
Can
Yes.
I tell you a little secret?
Hmm.
I have a team of over 50.
It's about the team. It's always, I tell people all the time, you don't do anything great alone.
That's right. That's so right. And I
Awesome.
have to confess, I am the Lone Ranger. My team is not here today. So you are going to get a little bit jankier version of my spreadsheet, or it's not spreadsheet, my PowerPoint, because PowerPoint's not working. So I'm hoping this screen will work. Just let me know if it doesn't.
We're seeing
Creepy.
Okay.
That's a creepy screen.
I'm excited to share this with you all today because I think this is something that no one wants to have this conversation, but there are ways to know if your marketing is creepy. Are you all ready for me to get started?
Yes.
Absolutely. Take it away. It's all you, Kim.
Okay, thank you. So I am trying to make this click, and there we go. I want to start by defining creepy. Creepy definitions, I looked them up, I Googled them, and these are 3 of the ones that I found. It causes an unpleasant feeling of fear or unease, or it's annoyingly unpleasant, or it makes one feel uncomfortable. I have sat through lots of things where I have felt all 3 of these when someone was absolutely trying to market something to me. And I want to ask, have you ever heard someone say, I think you could sell ice to an Eskimo? Well, let me tell you, that's not a compliment. That is something that you should listen if someone has said that to you, because what they may be saying is that your marketing is creepy because you're selling something to someone who doesn't need it. So I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other ways that marketing is creepy. Have you ever had someone just abruptly jump out and say, "Will you marry me? And don't forget to bring your wallet." I just met you and now all of a sudden you're trying to, get me in a relationship that I have to bring money to the table right off. What about We're waiting in ambush to ambush you. Hurry up and bring your gold. Think about the old Pony Express. They would have to like run really fast away from the robbers. And I think this is a good example of something when we try to ambush somebody who is not prepared for what we're offering or marketing to them without any kind of relationship. It's almost like hiding behind the rocks, ready to take their money. I also think that another creepy marketing trait is that we give so much information that nobody knows what in the world you're selling. Nobody knows what you're marketing because it's so much. We're choking on the information, but we want them still to give us their money. So I think these are like really important things to think about. So think about if you've ever put a message in a bottle and you've sent it out to the sea to go through the waves and find someone that you would like to read that message. Just like putting that bottle in the water, you're not going to get it back. Somebody else is going to get it, and there's no take backs. So what you're putting out into the world, your message, is so important. It requires some effort in the front instead of waiting till afterwards when it's not working. So I want to talk to you today about what you're thinking about when you think about your marketing. Are you thinking that we need number 2073 client today? Are you thinking, I just need another sale? Are you thinking, I just need a paycheck? I don't really care about these people. I just need another paycheck. Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret. And I know that this is a common language used among marketers, the funnel. But being an Oklahoma princess, I'm just going to tell you, twisters and funnels are not a good thing when you come from Tornado Alley. So when I hear that, I automatically pull back. I don't want to be caught in a tornado. But let me just describe to you the difference between a funnel and an adventure. A funnel, I think about, I am someone's looking at me as if I'm a fish. They want to get me in a fish trap, and they eventually want to get me in that frying pan. That to me is kind of a scary proposition. However, if you want to go on an adventure, I would love to pull up in my little red Hellcat. And yes, that's a car, not a cuss word. I would love to pull up in my little red Hellcat and say, hey, you want to go down this road and let's have some adventure. That to me is much more exciting than being put in the frying pan. So the differences are when you think about a funnel and you're thinking about who you're marketing to, think about if you've got the framework in your mind that you're trying to trap them versus inviting them. Think about, are you using bait to try to catch them in the trap? Or are you giving them a gift? Are you serving them? Think about if you're trying to capture them so they can't get away. Or are you trying to empower them with what they really need? Are you trying to fry them for dinner? Or are you going to celebrate with them for dinner? Big differences in our thinking. So now let's talk about what you're saying in your marketing. Buy my thing right now with a megaphone. Oh my goodness. How many of you have ever been shouted at from someone trying to market something to you? What is your marketing saying? Are you speaking at who you're trying to market to, or are you speaking to them? Again, a big difference. Think about your wording and your messaging. Think about your marketing, descriptions. Think about the captions you're using on your social media. Think about how you're describing everything about your client you're looking for, but think about that language, because speaking at them is like a force. It is not a draw. It's not an invitation again. You're telling them instead of asking them so that they want to lean into what you're saying. You're telling them what you want. I want you to buy my thing. But what you need to be seeing is, what do they want? How can you serve them? How can you make an offer that fits what they want? Talking at someone is arrogant. I don't really care what you think. I'm going to tell you what I think. But when you're talking to them confidently that you can help them, that is a different language that you use in your marketing. One, the talking at, is very disconnected. The other is very relatable. I love Bobby and his storytelling, because stories suck me in every time. If you can tell me a story that's relatable, I will lean in. You don't have to worry about trapping me. So next, what are you doing in your marketing? Are you bullying people? Are you saying buy it now? And they're trying to tell you, but I don't need it. I don't even need what you're selling. Well, here's the difference. It's generic versus specific. When you are marketing to everyone, you're really marketing to no one. Because if you're generically marketing versus specifically marketing, means you don't even care where your message is going. You don't care where your marketing is headed. You're just trying to find a paycheck. So generic is really about your problem versus the problem you can solve for them. It's about your win. I want to win this sales contest. I want a bigger paycheck. I want to pay my bills. I want to whatever. That's your win. What about their win? Are you telling them what you actually can do for them? Generic is all about what you want. I want everybody in the world to buy from me. But what did they need? Find out what they are asking for. Generic is not listening, but specific is. You're listening to the audience tell you what it is they need. Generic is very much a disregard for what they're wanting, but you can make an impact if you get specific. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. What are you thinking and then saying and then doing in your marketing? How can you improve your messaging so that people are chasing you with the money instead of you chasing them? Because it's not very sexy to have someone who is jumping out from the bushes trying to get your attention, or trying to get you to marry them and bring your wallet. It's not sexy for them to feel like they are the fish getting in a trap. Take them on that adventure so they chase you. They're signing up saying, hey, pick me. I want to go with you. So let's talk about proof in the pudding. Let's do the pudding test. If your marketing is creepy, you're going to have no or low sales. If your marketing is creepy, you're going to have no or few new clients, students, and customers. And yes, there's a difference between clients, students, and customers. If your marketing is creepy, you're talking to the wrong audience and they don't want to engage with you. If you're talking to the wrong audience, you probably feel like it's heavy or it's creepy from your viewpoint. So I want to proposition you with changing your mind about some things. One of the things that I want to do is going to sound like I'm being arrogant, but I promise it's not. I want to tell you about something we have done for quite a while. We have a different way of doing marketing that I think is super sexy. And this particular thing is, I want you guys to see what has happened from not doing creepy marketing. All of this list came about because of doing collaborative marketing. By doing things together, this entire business was built on collaboration, which means I don't have to creepy market. I have over 100,000 followers. Now, don't laugh. I'm going to have to call Kim about LinkedIn. I just started that one, but we have over 100,000 followers and audience and emails and people across the social media platforms that have leaned into us. We stay full on the clients. we have lots and lots, thousands of students, and we have customers. So I think it's really important to see proof in the pudding, as it's possible. It is totally possible to have things without being creepy in your marketing. So if you've been creepy, please listen closely. You don't have to be. You don't have to do desperate marketing. You can do sexy marketing by changing how you think, what you say, and what you do with your customers, clients, and students. And mine is short and sweet, guys. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I am good to go.
Oh,
You
good stuff.
know, I want to say one thing. It's absolutely fascinating that you talk about creepy marketing. We've done an A/B test on social media with one of my clients, and it's very recent. And I 100% thought that we would come up with a profile of somebody that was younger, and I want to say, anyway, my point is that the profile we came up with was much older and much more women specific than what I thought that it should be. So we did some A/B testing to find the profile of our client. And that's exactly what you're talking about, is find your right client. Don't be creepy. Don't talk to the wrong person. And your presentation was phenomenal. I enjoyed every second of it.
Always good. We hear that so often, and I don't understand why companies don't get it. The creepy, hey, I'm here. You go to networking meetings. How many people are at the networking meeting and you see them drooling, trying to, I need you as a client. I want you as a customer. What can I do to talk you into using my crap? It's just like, man, I go to networking meetings to get to know people, to connect with people, to me and Boyd, we understand that it's about the relationship.
Relationships, yes.
It just is. And I am always dumbfounded. We hear this a lot, but people don't pay attention. They're not listening. Damn it. Just be friends with somebody first.
And sometimes it's even not even, you got to get them so that they want to engage. Now with social media, I did back in February, March, I don't remember when it was, might have even been April. I did a posted on Friday. Which do you like better, chocolate or Fridays? Now I got, and I use this, and I have some of my colleagues who says, oh, you're breaking all the rules here. And I'm going, no, I'm not. I'm just modifying them to fit what I want to do. But here's the thing. I made it so that they only had to say one word, chocolate or Friday, to answer that question, right?
Boyd, the answer is clearly chocolate.
Yes.
Well,
100%.
it depends on who you're talking to, and so, somebody would say chocolate, and I would then say, so why do you like chocolate over Friday? And then if they said Friday, I'd say, why do you like Friday over chocolate? Now, because they
that's how I like my chocolate over Fridays. That's how I like my chocolate.
Okay,
I like chocolate.
I like chocolate on everything. Friday's good too. Yes. So, but the thing is once you get the conversation going, over a week's time, this conversation lasted, and we had about 41 people who were commenting back and forth with me. Guess what? Those 41 people, I see more and more of them commenting on all my other posts that are not chocolate or Friday, which has nothing to do with my business, but now they've got somewhat of a relationship. By the way, one of the best things I ever did was I said, well, which do you like better of chocolate? Do you like milk chocolate, medium chocolate, or dark chocolate? And I got one lady
Obviously
who was
chocolate with nuts.
Sorry, what?
It's chocolate with nuts.
Nuts. Okay, well, that's good too. I did have somebody say, well, I'm a nutty person. Yeah, that would be.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was dark
But
chocolate.
you know, one of the things I did when I did that, I got a lady who jumped on and she says, you missed the best chocolate of all, white chocolate. Well, I left that off on purpose
Craziness.
for somebody to get mad at me. You know, and it's all about, and now don't have to be creepy about any of this, because it's all about a conversation and it's building a relationship. That's what I like.
Well,
And-
and I will say, Mr. Boyd, I think that one of the things that's kind of interesting in the listening part of this is we have over 40,000 people on Facebook that follow us.
Yeah.
And we have very little engagement, almost no engagement on our posts. Our messages are insane. They will like not comment out loud a lot of times. They will message us, which I love that, because that means we're literally building relationships with people.
True.
So we put them together, we put them in community, we do those kind of things almost secretly. Like it's almost like we're secret about it. And they love it because they feel like they're VIPs in our world, and they are. But those messages have brought us quite a lot of zeros, I will just say. Like that is one of the things that you have to remember is the outside appearance is not always the way it is. Vanity metrics are not always the thing to look at when you're looking at the bottom line, the proof, the pudding test.
Yes.
You want to make sure that it's actually profitable and not just vanity metrics.
Correct. That's true. You know, and one of my clients, I was talking to them one time, and they were getting about, well, I don't know, 20%, maybe not quite that high. It was probably 16% of all of the people who were that were following them on Instagram were watching their videos or commenting on their posts. Now that's unheard of, you know, in most cases, but they were determined. You know, they had about 3,200 people who were following them, but they were 3,200 people who really wanted to follow them. And they kept saying, we want more followers. We want more followers. I says, we're building the followers, but we're building ones that are going to continue that 16%. Well, they went and bought some program from someone who got them a whole bunch of new followers. So now they have 15,000 followers. They have less than 1% that are now doing what they used to have 16% doing. And when I go and look at where their where their followers are, they're not even in the country. They don't even speak English. And I'm going, you got lots of followers, but is it the right followers? And that's the key is, you know, I was talking to a guy and he said, well, I have 1 million followers. And I'm looking at it and I said, and how many of those Russian followers do you have that you're speaking to? Do you ever put anything out in Russian? What do you mean? And it says, well, 20% of your followers are Russian.
Yeah.
You know,
and see, you make a great point, because one of the things that I giggle at is that very thing is if you have a global audience, it's one thing, but if you have a local business and you have lots of other country followers, that is a problem. One of our biggest ones, I pushed back for a little bit because I didn't understand why they were following us. And I was just invited to speak at a women's conference of 15,000 women. And it's from another country that I didn't even think was like paying attention on our social media. And yet because of that, I was invited to that platform. That's something else to pay attention to is where are you getting invited? Like, where are you being included in those different countries? Don't like overlook those things, but I totally agree.
Engagement is definitely a metric. It's a metric. I mean,
it is.
If people are talking and interested and connected, that is a metric. And if they're not, that's a metric. Maybe your marketing is creepy.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys,
to him instead of Adam. I mean, Adam instead of to him. Yeah.
I had to change my background to match Kim's, because these are all people that have messaged me or follow me or whatever, and I don't know any of them. So the
That's
whole
awesome.
whole point is you need to have a relationship.
Well,
And-
go ahead, finish what you were
Oh,
saying.
I was going to say you have to have a relationship with all of your clients,
That's right.
and then they'll do business with you. If you don't, then they just are a bunch of post-its on the wall. Very much like Kim, very much like mine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, one of the things I was going to mention about my chocolate versus Friday, I only had 5 people who responded at first.
Mhm.
But then as I got a conversation going online with these people on the posts, of course, the posts keep being popped up to the top when everybody is starting to talk about it, when they use 5 words or more, something you need to know. Okay, well, and that's why I ask, open-ended questions.
Mhm.
And I had a total of 41 people by the end of it, but I started with 5. But I included and pulled in more people. And if you're not, doing this kind of thing, you're missing the boat. You really are. And so
point, Boyd. Good point. And Kim,
Hey,
awesome.
Kim, that was great. That was
Yes.
great. And I'm gonna have to take down all my creepy posts now. No, the only creepy
Yes.
posts I have are the Halloween ones.
Oh my gosh.
It's supposed to be that creepy.
This week
Those are
I'm
still
starting
okay.
a creepy post.
Yeah.
I thought it was very fitting for this season.
Yes. It's very good. Very good, Kim.
Kim, you rock.
Thank
I
you.
knew she would. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
you. Thank you all.
All right. Well, we're going to be, we've got our next
Hey
presenter.
Boyd, are we going to give away something? Or we?
Oh, I forgot all about doing that. You were supposed to remind me.
I am now.
I have a trip to Las Vegas for someone who's in the area. Okay, now I need, let me grab I have an app on my phone that tells me
Wait, I want to win it. I want to win it.
you want to win it.
Yeah.
You want to win it. Well, then I'll make you an attendee. How's that? But I'm going to
they may not
make
like it.
Princess Kim an attendee so she can have that possibility of winning. you
Okay,
see.
I have to ask Kim, where do you live?
Well, my husband and I travel the country full time. So we're in Texas for now.
Okay.
But he's from Texas, I'm from Oklahoma, and we're subject to pop up at a campfire anywhere across the country.
Wow, cool.
Oh,
Okay.
my.
Come up to Utah. There's some good camp.
Yeah, come visit us.
I would
We're all
love
from
to.
Utah here
I
right
would
now.
love to.
Yeah. I think-
That's my home state is Texas, so I miss it.
You don't miss some of the things though. I've
Yeah,
heard that.
I wouldn't miss that. Oh, gosh.
Thank you,
Utah's
Kim.
grown on me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kim.
All right, so I'm
Boyd,
going to,
tell us who's going to win.
okay, well, I'm just throwing in, and I've got a randomized number producer. So of the people who are online, it's, oh, I got to go to the attendees now again. I was on the panelists still. Well, that's interesting. It's David Sterling is who won. Okay, so David Sterling. David, if you'll just put in the chat to me your email address, I'll send that over to you. So
Nice. And that's the
so it is
3-day in Vegas.
3-night stay at a resort in Las Vegas. It's the Westgate Resort. Very nice. It's not on the Strip. And I like that because it's not on the Strip. And so thank you, David, for giving me that. I will then get that sent over to you in a few minutes. But we're going to give away another trip after Jim's. I was going to give away 3 trips today, and I forgot to do that. So Jim, after your presentation, I'm going to give another one away. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, Jim, if you'd like to win, I'll throw you out after this, and then you could be in the, one of the 19 that are on, or how many ever's on at that very moment. So, okay.
Awesome. Okay. Hang on now. I wasn't. I'm
Okay,
not
well, Bobby,
ready.
you want to introduce him or do you want me to?
Absolutely. Well, I can introduce him. I've kind of been doing it. I got something written down.
Go ahead. Go.
Jim is the daredevil in disguise, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Jim Carroll has been a daredevil all his life. He skydives, he dives and swims with sharks, which is crazy. One of my worst fears. So thank you, Jim, for taking that up and showing me that it can be done. He loves to stay on the edge and has owned and sold several businesses. Jim is a serial entrepreneur in every sense of the word. And he has been working with SEO and website building for over 15 years. He is someone to listen to. I'm going to turn it over to Jim. Take it away, Jim Carroll.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna get my PowerPoint pulled up here. Sure. There you go. So I was so excited listening to all the other presenters this morning that I was not prepared. There you go. Can you guys see me?
Looks good. You're
Okay.
good to go.
All right. So my name is Jim Carroll. I am the owner of a company called E2 Total Solutions. We specifically do search engine optimization. Very quickly, I have a background in good gosh, I want to say a lot of things, but I used to own a web hosting company. I owned a web development company. I've come from a lot of historical background as far as the internet goes. So I want to talk to you about 10 secrets that I want to share as far as how to do it yourself search engine optimization. So those 10 things we're going to break down. And the first one is that we want to talk about quality content. When I look at the world, when Google looks at the world, we really want to see about what's considered quality content, and those things are valuable to Google. And you have to think about how Google sees the world, and it sees the world through content. So when you think about things, Google only considers, or really considers, content. If you think how Google wants to see things, it's through the content that you write, the content on your site, the content in general of what you write, what you post, what you put online. And so all of those things are really, really valuable. So if you're I'm going to say an SEO guy like I am, and you put a bunch of crap about the weather, Google's not really going to care what you think. They're not going to care about your content. They're not going to care. So they diminish what you put. So if you're an SEO guy, you need to write specifically about SEO. If you look at my blogs on my site, it's specifically about SEO. So those things are all really, really valuable as far as my profession. So Google wants to see the same things that you want to put on your website. If they want to look at backlinks, for example, if I get backlinks from Boyd, for example, then it makes a great deal of sense. Boyd is in a profession that makes a considerable sense to what it is that I do. He writes social content. He writes social media content. So all of the things that he writes are very similar. I have to move this. There we go. So he's writing from a partnership presentation. If I write backlinks or get backlinks from a non-competitor, from a laundromat or something ridiculous, then backlinking doesn't have any value to me. So I want backlinks from partnerships. I want backlinks from other creators that I want to see. Use testimonials. I want you to use guest blogging. I want you, all those links I want to come from somebody that makes a great deal of sense. The next thing that very few people consider is domain authority. So domain authority is, this is actually a graphic that's kind of cool. This is a graphic from Google. So you can see how much authority Google has created for themselves. This is created from a site called Moz, M-O-Z. So you can see that the backlink authority from Google has significance. If I loaded another graphic in there that was from whoever, I mean, I'm going to say Walmart. Walmart has nothing to do with SEO authority or SEO importance. So that graphic wouldn't look the same. But Google has a great deal to do with, I want to say at this point that search engine optimization, my chosen profession. So that has to do with SEO. So domain authority does not come from Walmart. It comes from Moz. It comes from at the end of the day, Google. So that's the next thing that we're going to conquer. Domain authority is important, and this is kind of deep stuff in the sense that Moz creates the Google verification for domain authority. And if you can see that graphic in the lower left-hand corner, what happens is they don't go one level deep. They're looking multiple levels deep. So if you are a search engine optimization company and you have a link from a tattoo parlor, and then you have a link from that tattoo parlor from a laundromat, that is completely going to confuse Google. Why would a SEO company have a link to, a tattoo parlor, or have a link to a laundromat? It makes much more sense that you would have a link from an SEO company, Boyd's company, which is a social media management company, and then maybe beyond that to Bobby Glenn James' company, which is a marketing company. All of those things make sense. But the previous scenario, it doesn't make sense for me to have a link from an ongoing laundromat. So think about that for a second. Who links to you? Links are the primary source of what was important to Google in the beginning. Google, at the time that they were created, was a company that was founded on link building. And so at the time that they created their company, they created that company based on the fact that all their competitors, MSN and AOL and all these other competitors, if you were in the first position, their linking profile or their ability to create links was based on the fact that they were coming from known entities. They were coming from a popularity profile. And today, even back in the day, they decided that a linking profile was not the most important um, uh, thing to measure value on. So they created their value based on links rather than popularity. Popularity was cool at the time. If you became the #1 popular website, you would never be displaced. But Google decided a long time ago that if you were popular because of the value of the links being driven into you, that was a much greater concept than just popularity. So that's how they created that profile, and that still continues today. So who do you link to? Who links to you is the most popular or the most beneficial thing. The next thing that they decided upon was keywords. So how do you find your keywords? How do you determine keywords? And so your keyword tips are SEO. If I'm an SEO company, then I want to be founded for SEO. If Boyd is a profile company based on social media marketing or social media content, then that's what he really, really wants to be found for. If Bobby Glenn James is founded for his marketing expertise, then that's what he really needs in his keywords. So this is an example. This slide is an example, I should say, of SEO 360, which is a company that Boyd and I own together. And so we want to be found for SEO in the SEO world. So this is a good example of what we're found for. That's a page that we're found for. You see us both in the ad, both in the SEO and 360 content. That is a winning combination as far as all of that goes. My next content, or my next tip, if you will, is title tags, content tips. So you think of content tags, you think of meta descriptions, you think of fault descriptions, you think of all those things that are on that left-hand side. And that's what SEO in 360 is found for. So this is a search for SEO in 360. And it's a little bit deeper search, but we are found for content. We are found for on the meta description level. The anchor tags, the SEO keywords, avoiding keyword stuffing. These are all things that we've done when we built our site. We avoided doing all of the negative things like keyword stuffing, and we're being found for our title description, for our meta description, for all of the things that we want to be found for. So this is, again, a syllabus on how to do your own SEO. But at the end of the day, we want to be, you want your site to be found for all of the things that we like, all of the things that Google like, all of the things that we care about, all of the things specifically that Google cares about. When we talk about website structure, if you look in the upper image there it's broken links between sites. This is, if you think about this is one site, and all of a sudden there's no way for Google to connect all of the things together. If you look in the lower left hand corner, that's a great site. It's the site that has a core, and then all of the things that fall off that core. as far as links or links to other pages. If you look at the lower right-hand side, this is how I build all of my sites. Those sites they have a homepage. They have a very logical conclusion of where you go. I just recently launched a site that was a jewelry site, and that jewelry site had a homepage, and then they had rings, and then they had necklaces, and then they had a lot of other things. But you can see how that you would create that homepage, and then from there you would see all of those other things that fall under that each of those categories. So that is a perfectly designed website, as opposed to the top site, which has no connections, which has no links to the secondary pages, which has a bunch of problems. So, when you talk about website structure, that top site is completely a mess. The lower right-hand side is completely how it should be. And Google, what happens with Google is they are very technologically savvy, in the sense that there's something called a sitemap. So if you create a sitemap, it'll be able to see, okay, this is our homepage. Then hanging off the homepage are all of these other pages. And the sitemap will show them very clearly where to go find those other pages. In the top example, there's no way for Google to find the other pages. And so what has to happen is Google has to crawl all of the websites in the world and find those other pages. If you create a sitemap, like the lower right-hand corner, then you will have a sitemap that says, this is my pages. These are all the pages that fall off this. These are the pages that go with this. These are the pages. And Google will be able to crawl them and rank them accordingly. We call it indexing. And so they will be able to index all of the sites on that page, or on that website very, very quickly, where if you look at the top, they obviously won't be able to reach them quickly. So website structure is incredibly important. The first thing that you can see on the right-hand side there is that an SSL certificate is required. If you don't or do not have an SSL, and SSL is a acronym for Secure Socket Layer. If you do not have a secure socket layer attached to your page, Google has said outright that they will not rank your site. That's just point blank. And it's kind of an interesting question, because I run into people all the time that say, well, look, if I type in my URL, then my site shows up. And that's a fact. It will show up in an organic optimization or organic search, but it will not show up in a organic question for that site. So if you are Boyd and you have a company that does social media management, you do not have an SSL, then you won't show up as even in the list of people that do social media management. If you type in a URL very directly, like Bob Social Media Management Company, then of course you show up. But that's only because they typed in a very, very specific URL, not a organic search. And we want the organic search. Boyd wants the organic search to find him. Bob's, organic search company, whatever, will never show up if you don't have an SSL. So those are the things that are important to you as far as your homepage, as far as navigation, the menu, the breadcrumb trail. All of those things will follow back to you, back to Boyd, if you will, from an organic search as opposed to a search that is non-committal. Oh, the other thing I throw it in there is the SSL or the HTTPS. Excuse me. You must have an HTTPS. If you don't have that, then you will not be found in an organic search. The HTTPS is the secure socket layer, and the secure socket layer, excuse me, without one of those, you will not be found in a organic search. So you must have that, and I think Boyd does. Okay, so the next 10 signals that we want to be found for are social signals. How are you being found online? So 1/3 of my organic puzzle that I put together every day for every one of my clients is a social signal. Which platforms are you being found on? Which things are you popular on? And Google tends to think of all of these things in a sense of velocity. So if you're on Facebook and you're losing followers, do they want to rank you the highest? The answer is no. If you're on Facebook and you have an increased number of followers, they want to rank you as popular? Of course they do. Google only wants to deliver the best things for every one of their clients that are popular or increasing in volume or increasing across the board. And so think about this for a second. Facebook is Facebook, and Boyd will crack at me a little tiny bit. I'm not a huge fan of Facebook, but Instagram, the number of followers, Pinterest, the number of followers, Twitter, the number of followers, I want to see increasing values across the board in all of those other platforms. Facebook, I just Boyd a little tiny bit, but you have to have an increased number of their followers there. That means ultimately that you're saying something important. And Facebook is Facebook, and they are what they are, and I'll diss them, until Boyd tells me not to. But all of the other platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those other platforms, if you have an increased number of followers there, then at the end of the day, Google is going to like you. Google is going to see that. Google will care about why you have more followers on LinkedIn than you do actually on Facebook. So think about the number of social signals and think about the number of, where they're coming from. So that's really, really important to us. The next thing that I want to talk about from an SEO perspective is load speed. And it has come out recently, more than recently, but several occasions with the Google algorithm that they care a great deal about load speed. And so load speed means this: how quickly your site renders. That's it. That's the bottom line. So if you have a website that loads very, very poorly on the desktop value, and then loads even worse on a mobile value, and guess what? You're not going to rank well. I'm going to give you guys a secret, and that is that most load speed times that load on mobile devices load in under 1 second. So think about that. Load in under 1 second. The reason for that, or the reason that they rank so highly, is because they load quickly. I recently have done I've recently done a couple of searches on some sites that load in 12 seconds or 13 seconds on a mobile device. The mobile device is where about 70% of the people are searching. So if you search on a cell phone, search for, a dentist in a local area, whatever, and they don't load in under 1 second, guess what? They're not going to be on the first page. 100%, 10 out of 10 people that load on the first page load on in under 1 second. So load speed is a killer. If you have too many videos, if you have too many too much content, or it's encoded incorrectly, all of those things are loading incorrectly, and killing your load speed time. Boyd has something to say.
No, we're just running out of time.
Okay, well, I'm I'll be quick. So mobile friendly is my next thing.
You kind of talked
Website.
about that a minute ago, about
Yeah,
speed.
I know. Speed is horrifically important. HTTPS is important. The user experience. This is something that we need to discuss, and I'll be quick, is that the information or the architecture of the information needs to be important to the user. So Google thinks of everything from the user's experience. So the user experience is what is compelling, what takes time, what makes them want to stay on your site or visit your site. And then finally, some people think that designs is how it looks, but of course it's not. If you dig deeper, it's how it really works. These are all circles within circles, my friends. So at the end of the day, it's not one of those drops, it's all of those drops that work together that make your site compelling, that make your site both attractive to Google and to the end user. So the end user who is really you really want to be attracted to your site. So thank you so much. Boyd knew this, but I want to thank you. It's not only one of those things, it's all of those things working together. So at the end of the day, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So a lot of people have asked over the years about how can you do your own social media or SEO, sorry. And that's why I asked Jim to do that, because, well, a lot of people want to know that. They want to be able to get it at least going so that they can get closer to it. And then if they need more help later, they can do that. They can ask for it, but get the basics going.
I want to say this pretty clearly. It's not impossible to do your own SEO. And there's a lot of basic steps that you can follow. We covered a bunch of them today. But please do your own SEO. And at the end of the day, if you need help, then contact me. Of course, I'll be able to help you. I pull, ranking reports, and I'll offer this to everybody today. If you want a ranking analysis or a reason that your site doesn't rank well, I'll throw that in as a free compliment to anybody but Bobby Vine James. Why his site doesn't work, but I will help you understand how Google sees you, and then from there you can either do your own stuff or work with me, and we'll be glad to help you. But it keeps me, I want to say this, it keeps me awake at night and puts me to sleep early in the morning. So there you go.
Awesome.
Great.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It's more than you would think. Freaking Google, and that's how I perceive myself. Freaking Google is always a challenge.
Yeah, and you always have to keep up on it because it's always changing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So true. Awesome. All right. Are we ready for our last speaker?
I can do that.
That's Boyd.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everybody go get a Coke.
Yeah, you're gonna need it.
Out.
Keep you awake. No.
We're gonna finish it up. I gotta say I wrote up a bio. I gotta say your bio, so I hope you're okay with that.
Oh, if you must.
The magnificent, the mantabulous, the awesomeness of Boyd Peterson. Boyd is a best-selling author, trainer, speaker, certified marketing coach, and has owned several businesses and has been involved with many chambers, both state and national press associations, and loves networking with other business owners. So true, so true. He's a network extraordinaire. He has taught sales and marketing all over the US. He is a powerful presenter on social and digital media, marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship. He currently owns Big Picture Media, a digital and social media agency. Take it away, Boyd.
Well, thank you very much.
Wait. You forgot to say that he's an all-around good guy.
Yeah, true. There you go. He is an all-around good guy. Anybody that knows Boyd knows he's just a good guy too.
Okay. Wait a
And
minute.
I want to really quickly say two things. I want to thank everybody for attending today. I want to invite them to our podcasts, which are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And there's a training seminar that Boyd and I split between every other week. You know, Boyd does social media, I do search engine optimization, and they can be found Tuesdays at 2:15 from at bpmedia.com / register with seminar or whatever. But you can find them there. So please register and please attend or find our seminar, our podcast.
All right. Well, thank you for, I'm glad that you got to that because I hadn't even put that in yet. So, all right. Now,
Well, I figured I needed it before you.
For some reason, when I put up my slides, it started advancing. In fact, it's still doing that. So I'm going to have to,
you want me to dance for you, Boyd?
so, it's advancing on a timed basis and I don't know why. Well, I do know why. And so anyway, I'm going to have to stop already. So I'm going to have to, you're not going to get to see my slides easily. Yeah, you're gonna do that, huh? Okay. So for some reason it's set up to go for 5 seconds. So let me see.
To turn that off.
I did turn it off, and it still keeps coming back on, no matter what I do. So, okay.
While we're stalling real quick.
Well,
I'm in the mountains, if you will. Bobby, where are you? You're at the
Miller campus, Salt Lake Community College.
There you go. And Boyd, we know, is at his home in that godforsaken place with too many people.
I am in a great place. You're just so crazy there. So
yeah, but
I can have bears and moose and crap in their yard.
Yeah, I'm living right now from maybe 10 minutes from the Facebook facility in Utah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, I've got this up and it's working now.
You fixed it.
Well, no, see, there it goes. As soon as I share it, it starts going. So let me see here, and it won't. There it goes. Okay.
Just talk really fast.
All right. Well, that's what I'll do. Is I'm gonna have to stop. What is this? Okay, this is silly. Okay, we're gonna just stop it. Stop the share. Okay, I'm just gonna talk. And I'll use it in the background, I guess, to do things. One of the big things that I want to talk about is we're going to talk about tools that you can use for social media. But before we get started with that, one of the things that drives me nuts, and I was actually talking to another social media person yesterday, and we were talking about the things that drive us nuts about our clients. And one of them is, people hire a new employee, and we had Clay talking about doing that. And so some people, they will never hire a new employee without a job description, goals for the position, it will affect their bottom line. They'll know that. And no, they're not going to do it without that. Yet so many people, they do that. They don't put those things together for social media. They call me up and they say, Boyd, can you do social media for me? And I'm going, Okay, tell me what you're looking to do. But also, they don't even know when they're doing it themselves, what they should be doing. Set up a job description, set it out. One of the things that I do recommend is always make it so that you understand what you need from your social media to do in order for it to, so that you can know if you're getting value from spending your time doing it. Now, we also talked about earlier, talking about figuring out who your customer is. Taylor did a great job with that. Thank you, Taylor, about talking about, niching your message to one specific group so that you can speak to them. Now, you'll pick up all kinds of other people, but if you know what your niche is and you have a real clear idea of what people are wanting to do and who you want to speak to, then this is a great way to do it. So McDonald's is a great example of this. If you have ever looked at that, I can tell you right now, they do have a profile of who they're going after, a niche. And so for their main marketing message, they go after those that are, and they have a specific person, and then they have a group. They're really looking for people between the ages of 30 and 45 that have children. And it's women, and they have all kinds of demographic stuff that I could go into, but I'm not going to. They know exactly who they're talking to. Now, when they're doing something for some of their other meals, they hit a different demographic. So, for example, they've been doing the crispy chicken recently and in our area, and that has a different demographic. And so they're going after the little more sophisticated group. And so their actual group that they're looking at is 42 to 65. Okay. And they're going after people who have a little more money and are also have a little more, they're looking for a better tasting chicken sandwich. And they're trying to compete with such things as the Chick-fil-A market with that product. But McDonald's does nothing without having a good understanding of who they're going to be marketing to and how to talk to them. And if you want more information about that, sometime I'll sit down with you and tell you more about it. But one of the things you need to know also is when you're looking at who you're going to go after, you've got to know where they hang out online. This is more important than a lot of the other things that you may learn about them, more than how many children they have, unless, all you're doing is selling children clothes. But, you've got to know where they hang out online and where they pay attention to people like you when they are presenting ads or they're putting posts out there. And I have a whole thing about that one as well. Like I have an HVAC company that we did this with, and it was a survey we did of their customer base. Number one was Facebook. 73% of all their customers were on Facebook once a week, but 65% were on there once a day. But one of the things they found was, even though that was number one, number 2 and 3 and 4, they had it go down like that. But they asked a question of, if you were looking for something like our company, where would you pay attention to it on? Facebook wasn't what they were, what they paid attention to, those kind of things. It was actually Instagram that won number 1. It was Pinterest that took number 2. It was YouTube that took number 3. And then finally, Facebook took number 4. You got to know where they hang out and where they're going to pay attention to your ads or your posts. And your posts are what's important. I do a lot more with the organic, even though I do some of the paid ads. The organic is what I feel like can really help you, because it will overtake your paid ads once you get it going correctly. And I've had so many people that say, "Oh, well, how do you get that to happen?" I'm going to teach you how to get some of that going today, and you can do it yourself. Okay, so one of the first things I tell people is I have a free program. You can go and watch it. It's a training program on about it's called The Recipe for Social Media Success. And it's all about marketing. It talks about 6 different areas that you can look at. So when you're posting, so many people go after just one of 3 different areas, and they post the same thing over and over and over. Not the same message, but they're always selling, sell. Call to actions, call to action, call to action. Well, the problem is, if you're going to be selling all the time, people don't like to be sold to all the time. They will drop you off. They'll stop paying attention to you. And that's the kiss of death. Another one that they do is they educate all the time. Educate. And that's great. You should have education in there. You should have call to actions in there, but not all the time. Because then you're educating them, but you're not asking them to do business with you. And so only a few of them will actually do business with you, where a lot of them will go on and do something with someone else, but you educated them. So you lose that benefit. The third one is people will just put something on there. Like, I know one guy, and he was doing just posts every day. He put his favorite post up online, and he'd find a post from all kinds of different people, from Aristotle to Elon Musk and everyone in between. And it was just a quote of the day every day. And when I was talking to him, he says, yeah, I have a lot of followers. I have a lot of engagement. I get no business from it. And there's a reason for that. What I recommend is there are 6 areas that you need to do. And if you'd like to know more about this recipe for social media success, at the end, I'm going to give you a website where you can go to and get into that and all these other tools that I'm going to tell you about. So there's 6 areas, and recipe breaks this out. So R is for recreation. The first E is for educational. The third one is for conversational. The I is for inspirational. The P is for promotional. And the last E is for entrepreneurial. Now, if you don't know how to work all of them, at the end, I'm going to give you an option that you can actually get into a program or get a download, and it'll have the recipe for social media success, a page on that you can print out. Plus, it will also give you steps to master your social media, which is kind of what I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about today. So the next thing I want to tell you about is calendaring. You know, people tell me, oh, Boyd, I just don't know what to write. I've done 16 or 20 or 40 or 100 posts already, and I've got writer's block. Can I tell you, an easy way of overcoming that is using a calendar. When we had our kids at home, we found that if we had our kids that they had to do dinner every night. And when we just left it to them to figure it out, we always got top ramen noodles, macaroni and cheese, or something out of a can that was like stew or something, chili. But once we sat down and we calendar with them and we said, okay, we'll have all the ingredients there. We know what to make. And then they would go and they would make it. And they did really well with that. So calendaring is what I would like to tell you will help you so that you can manage your social media really well. So on Mondays, I use, you can use it using that recipe for social media success. Maybe you use inspirational for all Mondays. And then what you do is you break it out into, and I have 6 or 8 different things for each one of these categories. So inspirational, so that might be a quote from someone else. It might be a quote from you. It might be before and after pictures. It might be images that you really like. And they're all things that you can put in there that are inspirational. Day 2 would be educational. 3 would be promotional. 4 would be, or Thursday would be conversational. Friday could be recreational. And then on Saturday, you do entrepreneurial. And entrepreneurial is an interesting one. This is where you do tell you about yourself. I've had a lot of people also tell me, oh, you don't need to ever do that. You know, people don't want to know about the people. Guess what? They're wrong. People want to know who they're going to be doing business with. If you want more business, let them know a little bit more about you. Let them know about your people that are working in the company. Let them know who they have, who they can be talking to, and how that person can help them. This is all a big thing. We do features of employees all the time, and it really does draw people in, because then when they say, oh, you work for them? I didn't know that. I would like to set up an appointment. Well, perfect. That's what we want. Tell your mission statement. All of those things are entrepreneurial. Now, once you've got your calendar down, one of the first tools that I'm going to tell you about is we have a program called the Social Media Posting Program. What that does is it gives you something that you can post, put all of your posts in and schedule them to go out. One of the big things I have that people have problems with is they have to stop and they go over to their computer and they have to post for the day. Well, if you forget to do that at the right time, then it gets to the wrong time of day, or they're having to create it. Let me tell you what I do. Once a week for an hour to an hour and a half, I sit down and write all of my posts for all of next week. I put them into my scheduling program and tell it which platforms I want each of these to go to. So it's Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, it doesn't matter. Google My Business is on there. So is a lot of others. There's 7 total platforms that you can drop these into. Well, once you've got it all set up, you don't have to think about it all week until you're going to create next week's. And that's the cool thing to do. And that's what this social media posting program does. But it also gives you a couple of other things. So one of the things is we have over 30 hours of training in there. It'll help you so that you can go in. And of course, the recipe for social media success is in there, but it's also free elsewhere. And I'll tell you where that is in a bit. But it also has a schedule, or it schedules in some of those posts that are engaging. So we have a motivational Monday, we have quote of the week, and we have motivational or engaging Friday posts. And so now, and you don't have to use them, but we're giving them to you for free as part of this posting program. And so a lot of people use them. Some people will even change them because you can modify them. That's the cool thing about all of these things. Okay. And then once you get it in there, you can add your own content in there, and it's called custom content. And then you can look at a calendar and you can see exactly when you've got things ready to be put out. And that helps you know that you've got it all taken care of for the week. And you don't have to worry about it. The next tool I'm going to tell you about is a tool that will help you to create images. Now, earlier, Kim Kirsten, he talked about Canva. Canva is great. And I love using Canva, but I have an easier one to use, and it's called Stencil. I love Stencil because it is a great program and easier to use than Canva. Now, Canva, if you're just going in to create one image and you're one and done, then it works great. But if you are going in, and I do this myself, if I'm going in to make a post for Instagram, and then I'm going to use that same post over on Facebook, but I want to put it on Pinterest as well. Pinterest doesn't like small images. They like the longer, tall ones. And so you can, with Stencil, you can click on it and change the size, move the things around a little bit, and you're done. Where with Canva, you have to start over again. You have to, once you change sizes, then you have to go find the picture again and add all the components back in, do the typing. I love that Stencil just simply moves it from one to another to another. And it also has the capability of adding your own custom sizes in it. Has 5 million pictures. If you can't find a picture there are places where you can find a few more. Canva has a few in there. They have about 500,000 that are part of the free program. And then if you buy into it, it's several million as well. So, but with Stencil, you can get in and do 10 images a month for free. And then if you want to do more, then it's like $12 a month, about the same price as Canva, that you can get as many, well, quite a few. I don't remember exactly what, if they have a limit as to how many you can do. I love using Stencil. I move through things very, very quickly because of it. And so that's one of the things that I recommend, is something like that. The next one I want to tell you about is using your phone to record videos. Yes, one of my favorite tools. There's several out there. My favorite one is called Big View. Now, again, all of these tools, I'm going to have a place where you can go and get information on all of these more at the end. But it is a teleprompter as well. So on my computer or my laptop, I can write out the script that I want to use. I then transfer it over to my phone. From my phone, I can then record it, and it'll go wherever the camera is, whether it's horizontal or vertical. And then it puts the words right next to the camera and then scrolls through at the speed you tell it to go through. You do it does the teleprompting, and it looks like you've really memorized this well. And as you do that, it really looks great. But then it has so that if you have a green screen behind you, it'll replace that. If you want music in it, you want your logo in it, you want closed captionings, you can do all of those things. You can even do some editing. You can do intros and outros. Oh, there's so many things on this. And this program is about $10 or $12 as well per month. And I love it for being able to do that. I use it on a weekly basis. Every week I'm creating some kind of a video, and that's what I love to do. Now, I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to see if I can get this to share so you can see the information of how to get a hold of all of these type of things. So let me just do slideshow I'm just going to show the page. That's what I'm going to do. So let's see here. There it is. Okay, so on this, you can see that there's a, let me close these down. So it'll actually show bigger. There we go. All right. All right, so if you want any of these type of resources, including the social media or recipe for social media success, go to bpmedia.com/resources, or just go to BP Media and click on resources, and that will get you right there. So it's an important, you can find all kinds of things there. And I put some of the things up there. If you want to write your own book, there's a book about that. There's all these things that I've mentioned to you is all in there as well. Now, there are some of these tools do cost. Some of them are free. Some of them are free for a while. Like Big View, I think you only get 3 days of free use, and then you either pay for it or drop it off. I love it myself. I have an unlimited version of it, which is, you don't generally see it from a lot of people, but I have an unlimited version because, well, I knew I was going to be using it a lot. And so that's why I have that. So now, finally, here is my information. If you use your camera on that QR code, that will take you to a program that will give you all my information, and you can load it right into your phone by clicking the bottom left-hand icon when it comes up. Here's some other things for it. I do have a course called the Master Your Social Media course, if you want information on that. But the thing I want you to know is my social media checklist. This is where you're going to get the checklist and the recipe for social media success. And if you just simply go to that, click on it, and it will ask you to put in your email and your name, and then it'll automatically send that to you. If you want to know more about the seminars that we offer, I'd love to invite you to go to any of those. In fact, I think the next, yep, there it is. Upcoming training seminars we have the A-Team conference coming up next week. We have the Success for 2022 on the 11th of November. We're always putting more seminars up there. There's a weekly one every Tuesday. Our podcasts are listed here. And so these are all tools and trainings that you can use. Most of them are free. I mean, there's sometimes we have I have 2 workshops on here that have now already passed, so please ignore them. But I have another one coming up in November that I'm going to be doing in person over in Vernal. And so, but this is the type of stuff that we do. Just go to seminars. Once you get to BP Media, click on the seminars tab, and that will tell you where you can find more about what we do. Okay, so what can I do? I think we're all finished, aren't we?
All done.
All done.
We made it through.
Good. Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
I had to get off my couch because I was over here listening to you.
oh yeah. Okay.
So
Well,
anyway,
okay.
Good. Super
Yeah,
good,
so-
man. I learned a lot, took a lot of notes, got a lot of insight. This was great.
Business Success Conference is an ongoing thing. So invite all of your friends.
Yep.
We have the podcast on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We have the social media or the ongoing Tuesday trainings. And I expect Bobby James is going to be part of that. I have no idea what he's going to teach us, but he'll teach us something. So
Always be something fun.
Of course.
fun is important. Fun is
All
important.
play, all work, and no play, right? Makes us all dull people.
That's right.
Exactly. So you
That
guys,
makes
please
us old
come back.
people.
Please come back and find the other conferences. Bring your friends, and have a great Friday.
And those of you who have been on for the whole time, we want to thank you. One of you will be winning a trip to Mexico, and I will be sending that to you. I have to get finished with this so that it'll tell me who was on the whole time. And so someone's going to win that. So
Don't
thank
let
you
it be
very much.
Bobby. Don't let it be Bobby.
Man. Oh,
Come on.
I was the whole time. I was here the whole time.
You
Made me
were,
one
so was
potty
I,
great.
so is Jim. So, okay. So anyway, thank you everyone for
Thank
attending
you
today.
so much.
And we'll hopefully see you next week.
Absolutely.
Everyone have a
Same-
great Friday and a
Same bat
great
time,
weekend.
same bat channel, right?
Yeah, well, you got to sign up for it again. So
Right,
it's not the same one. So
Right.
yes.
Still same
Have a
time.
great Friday and a
same
great
place.
weekend, you guys. Business is king.
Well, thank you. And,
Thank you.
thank you, Kim, for your comment here. She says, thank you all very much. And so, Bobby, that's for
Love it.
you.
Yeah, sweet.
All right. Thanks,
You guys.
guys. Bye.